talkSPORT Sports Update, powered local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. There might be some slight modification, but things are not improving under Thomas Tuchel. That's according to former England defender Martin Keown.
We are, Jim, statistically we are winning the ball back higher up the pitch, but we're not scoring more goals. And ultimately, that's where you're judged on, really. Are we improving? Is it more exciting? Are we hitting the back of the net? No, we're not. That's going down.
This after that 2-0 win over Andorra, but England's biggest test in this group is away in Serbia, live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Now, Amanda Staveley's Middle Eastern-backed consortium PCP International confirmed they're not making an offer to buy Spurs. The club say they've rejected interest from a Chinese-backed consortium as well. All this has come just 4 days after Daniel Levy was ousted as chairman. Here's Simon Jordan.
Feels like there might have been something in the background that Daniel was orchestrating or doing, and it may well be that he wanted to sell Tottenham Hotspur. He wants his huge amount of money as a result of it and probably wanted to stay in situ. So if that's the case, that will go to the explanation of why it's happened so quickly.
To boxing now, and ahead of Fabio Wardley's heavyweight title shot against Joseph Parker next month, he told Jim and Simon he understands why he's considered the underdog.
The general talk is Joe is the obvious favourite, and not that I've come in to lose at all, but I'm expected to lose because he's more proven, he's more experienced, he's been at world level before.
But Joe Parker is not underestimating his opponent.
He's got good knockout power. He knocked out 18 opponents out of 20 fights. So, and in the last fight, he showed that he can pull out of the bag. Things do get tough and hard.
You can watch that exclusive studio interview with both fighters on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A sergeant has pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting a teenage soldier before she took her own life in 2021. And a man in New Zealand who's been on the run for nearly 4 years has been shot dead by police.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Scattered showers spreading across much of the country this afternoon. Warm, sunny spells in between and staying mostly dry in the east.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, please tell us, Andy, what's coming up?
Well, coming up in the next 3 hours, as Harry Kane gets 12 touches against Andorra, we'll talk poor service with fellow striker Troy Deeney. Steve Harmison discusses Joffre, Dan Burn and Freddie's latest Field of Dreams. And Wednesday supporting boxer Dalton Smith pops in to tell us why his world title shot at Hillsborough is on ice.
That's right. We're also after the day you turn ball boy or girl, either officially or unofficially. And the Blow Monkey's very own Dr. Robert will be here to talk Chelsea and more.
Not a medical doctor.
Not a medical, and as far as I know.
No, I don't think so. There's all this, plus we'll look back on the NFL weekend with player Efe Abada.
Yeah.
We're in Belgrade with Faye Carruthers ahead of the Serbia game tomorrow. And as a new film is released, we'll get Danny Kelly's memories of Saipan.
Yeah, the infamous fallout between Mick McCarthy and Roy Keane. 4 stars in The Guardian the film's got, so suggests it's quite good. Anyway, 6 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. And that was so much better than a Premier League weekend, wasn't it? It was so exciting.
I think it might be worth asking the listener today what else they did. What did they look up on their phone? Did they find themselves going down a rabbit hole on their phone or on their iPad or laptop during the
Absolutely.
England Andorra game. They sat there and thought, right, I'm right in the mood for a game of football now. And about 20 minutes in, you picked up your phone, initially to see what other people were saying. And then you said, oh, OK, Michael McIntyre's on, Tony Hadley's on tonight. Then you're down a Spandau Ballet rabbit hole at that point, and then you're playing all the old videos. It's Robert Elms. And before you know it, you haven't had to watch the game, which is a blessed release. Yeah, hard going at the moment watching England.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
So do let us know what else you got up to. What did you get sidetracked by during England Andorra? And we'll bring you the best of those. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089 or tweet to TSH&J this afternoon. 03717 223344.
Big Les in the Stars come up with a good one. He says, can anyone tell me why Ian Wright had a flat leather football on his head Saturday? I thought it was like Peter Cech's helmet.
Do you know what? It did have a look of that, didn't it?
Description, isn't it?
Because now and again, when you flattened a football or a football got punctured, you would wear it like a sort of a cap. I could see why Wrighty's cap looked like that. That's very. He won't be wearing that again if he's listening today.
I did have a think as well about, not away from the game because that's the way it is. Where have all the Levy out banners gone?
What do you mean?
You know, those people who held up Levy out at Spurs, all those, there were lots of.
Well, can't you? I just said this to Danny yesterday. You could always put Levy out. Oh. Just put O on the end of it.
Yeah. Or if you've got a problem with somebody else in your business called Levy, then you can buy not a lot of resale value on them. I mean,
most of them are quite homemade. It seems that is that what you were worried about during England Andorra? What's happened to all? You do find yourself.
No.
Like the other day, I was watching the Newcastle game on the telly, and Malcolm McDonald was there. Super Mac was in the crowd, and I wrote down, whatever happened to all the bow-legged footballers? Footballers don't have bow legs anymore, do they? You notice that?
They don't.
We spoke to Malcolm.
Yeah.
Don't you remember he came in? And I said, Malcolm, you no longer have bow legs. He said, that's because they were operated on courtesy of the PFA. Not by the PFA.
No.
But Gordon Taylor. Now, just keep still, Malcolm. Gordon Taylor said. And his role as Alan Bennett. I'm just going to unbowl your legs. No, they paid for it. I think they helped with some of the
fair enough,
work. So, yeah, whatever happened to bow-legged foot, to paraphrase Arthur Smith.
There was a moment, though, in the game. Exactly.
Whatever happened to bow-legged footballers? There
was a moment on Saturday in the game that I think was so indicative of the whole thing and the whole problem.
Yeah.
Reece James he got the ball on the right. Kane made a run into the box and he'd spurned the cross. He could have put the cross in.
Yeah.
He might have got it. He might not have got it. He went backwards. The ball went right across to Dan Burn. Dan Burn then tried to reverse the play and then hit it right over James's head. And you thought, well, you might as well have put it in, mate. What's the point of that?
I know.
And that is exactly the problem.
I think
when he did put it in, we scored.
I was watching an old Harry Langdon film on YouTube at that point. No, I wasn't really. But do let us know. Talksport.com, text 81089. Tweet TS8&J. I was sidetracked by a pizza order I was making.
Really?
I don't know how much time that took. I shampooed the living room carpet during the first half, says James from Lincoln. Anything that basically took your mind off having to watch England and Andorra. We're expecting better things in Serbia. We'll be in Serbia with our own Faker others a little bit later on in Belgrade. I mean, they've got to put in a better performance. They've got players like Mitrovic and Vlahovic.
I think they will. I think they will play better, and it'll probably suit them if Serbia come onto them a bit. But it's just so they seem to have gone backwards under Tuchel.
Well, they're going backwards a lot.
Nothing really inspiring about the whole thing. I don't know. It's that thing where players just not playing. I mean, Eze's a great player, and he did that thing where a club player doesn't reproduce, or a player doesn't reproduce his club form. That happened a lot before Southgate, and it seems to be creeping back. I didn't see a lot of the tennis, though. I did switch on I watched one game. It was a very long juice advantage. I thought, oh, God, really? So I waited to the end of the game. And then there was a shot of Courtney Cox kind of on her own in the crowd. Have you got any friends?
So that's all you took?
Yeah, that's what
from like 3.5 hours of possibly the best tennis currently available.
The tennis was tremendous. I know it was, but it just doesn't do it.
Courtney Cox, haven't you got any friends? Your only takeaway from the US Open men's final.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, great, isn't it? Anyway, ball boys and girls, whether officially or unofficially, Jonathan Northcroft in the Sunday Times telling us yesterday that the ball boys for the game at Villa Park the other day were all England under 15s. They were all asked to be involved. And the idea is to show to those young players in and around the England under 15 squad is that they are valued by the FA. they're slightly Machiavellian because some of these kids have got options to play for other countries. And it's clear that the FA want the boys invested in England football, and that's one way to do it. Have them out there on the sidelines watching the game.
Dross isn't going to inspire them, is it, really?
And straight on the phone to Steve McLaren or possibly or Steve Clark, some of the boys there. But anyway, sometimes it's not just officially being a ball boy or girl. If you've done it officially, if you've had an official role as ball boy or girl, then do let us know and how it panned out with us. Tennis, football, whatever it was. But sometimes unofficially. So you might be walking the dog in the park, and then there's a game going on, Sunday game going on or whatever, and the ball comes to you, and everybody's, yeah, mate, and you feel that pressure. You've got a pair of, you've got to just strike it. You think, I wonder if I've still got it. Maybe you fell flat on your back, whatever you did, kicked it onto the wrong pitch. We used to have, in the old talkSPORT studios, we had some five-a-side pitches, quite a high fence opposite, and the ball would often come over the fence, and you felt that pressure. Yeah. Excuse me, mate, could you? And then you've got to, you want to do it first time. Do you throw it? Do you kick it? The worst one ever was next to the pitches at our old, I don't even remember, there was a school.
Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
And the school had a kind of rooftop playground.
That's right, yeah.
And occasionally the ball would come off over the rooftop and they go, yeah, mate, you have to clear it like Edison. It's quite a lot of responsibility to drop kick a ball onto a roof. The point is this, sometimes you're unofficially called upon to be a ball boy or girl. So let us know your stories today. 03717223344, talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J. I watched the Bromley-Gillingham game instead, says one of the listeners.
Yeah, Justin Allen said it was much better. He took it over from the England game as well.
I painted the skirting boards earlier in the day and suddenly became intrigued by watching them dry. I don't think that's strictly
Not true, no.
Yeah, I put my HelloFresh recipes in alphabetical order, says Paul in Leeds. So, yeah, clearly people weren't watching the game, were they? So, very quickly, we're here. We're going to talk to Troy Deeney about this. Going to be a bit more direct maybe under Thomas Tuchel. Although I'd argue trying to lump balls in behind the Andorran defence when they were basically on their own goal line would have been fairly pointless. But he's talking about long throws and he's talking about maybe longer balls, a bit more of a direct approach for the England team. And I just wonder, now and again, when he's on the touchline, does he slip into the vernacular? Does he do a bit of German? Because under stress, I would imagine when it's your first language, you might go back to your old language.
That's
so
true.
for any of the England players listening this afternoon who are going to play under Thomas Tuchel, let's give you a few useful phrases. If you hear these from the touchline, let's tell you what they mean. Okay, let's have the first one.
Stecken Sie es in den Mixer.
Yeah, that's fairly obvious.
Fairly obvious.
Stick it in the mixer.
Yeah.
So that's one. Let's have number two.
Klumpen Sie es.
Klumpen Sie es is lump it.
Yeah.
Lump it. Have an exclamation.
Good
mark
idea,
on
yeah.
these. Okay, let's have another one.
Zweiter Ball.
Yeah, second ball. Second ball. Second ball. Okay, let's have number four.
Schmeiß es da rein.
Yeah, chuck it in there. Just chuck it in there.
It's very expressive.
And let's go route one.
Route 1.
Yeah, route one. That's
Route 1,
so
yeah,
that's
that's
if you're
fairly
route
obvious.
1. Can we have the first one again? Because I think it's easily the best.
Stecken Sie es in den Mixer.
Stecken Sie in der Mixer.
Fair
Beautiful.
enough, isn't
So
it?
there we are. Just a few useful phrases if you're an England player. And Thomas goes back into
What's
his native.
sacked in the morning in case they have a very bad game tomorrow.
I'll see if we can find that for you later.
Okay.
Anyway, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Troy Deeney is going to kick us off. 12 touches for Harry Kane. Just 12 touches for Harry Kane in the game. Again,
They don't want him to come deep, but if he doesn't come deep, he never touches it. You can't blame him.
Again, Jonathan Northcroft in his match report in the Sunday Times saying Kane ended up with 12 touches and the two centre-backs, Gay and Dan Burn, had a combined 263.
Yeah.
That is a pretty damning stat, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, poor service. What's it like when you get no service or poor service? What's the least amount of touches Troy ever had in a game? Can he remember? Did he care? We'll find out in a few moments' time. Steve Harmison's going to join us. Apart from looking back on England's win, albeit in a dead rubber, there were some great performances that give us cause for a bit of optimism going forward. Jofra, Bethel, for example.
Yeah.
How much should we read into it? And we'll talk a bit of football. We'll talk a bit of Dan Burn Anthony Gordon and that beautiful shouldered header. Nothing better than 10 great shouldered headers. When they go in, you don't care, but when they don't. And Robert Howard from the Blow Monkeys. He's a big Chelsea fan. He's in the building and he wants to pop in and talk a bit of Chelsea. So he's going to pop in and see us later on. Plus, boxer Dalton Smith, Andy Brass all around Europe. The new Saipan film with Steve Coogan as Mick McCarthy. Not criminally Ian Danter, who should have got the gig. But Danny's going to join us to talk about that, Danny Kelly, and other matters besides, all these Tottenham takeover chats. And we'll look back on the EFL. We'll look back on the NFL, which is a completely different league. And indeed, the Women's Super League.
Slightly more money in the NFL.
Women's Super League. That's all to come. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
Stecken Sie es in den Mixer.
now he's got 10 matches over 9 months to get it right before the real business starts.
Not everything came off today, but I feel like when you play against a stubborn team, you have to have that mindset of I'm just going to get the ball and go and go.
So many more progressive passes into the final third than we've probably seen in any game under Tuchel so far.
And he's taken a touch off an Andorran defender to beat his goalkeeper and give England the lead.
One of their players plays in the equivalent of National League North. So how on earth is it just 1-0 and that was an own goal?
We could have had life easier, but overall, where it was possible, I think it was a much better performance than in June.
Kane making an early run. It's Rice coming around the back. And he's headed it in for two. Much better than the two displays in June. Clearly still a lot to work on.
If we win the World Cup, nobody's going to remember a dull 2-0 against Andorra. But Thomas Tuchel had said to us, it's time to start showing the fans. For me, that really hasn't happened.
No, difficult to argue with Adrian's point. We'll forget all this when we qualify, but there's a few red flags, I think, along the way. What did you get up to instead then? What did you get sidetracked by during the game? Becky in Herefordshire said, started watching it with my husband, but before half-time I was hoovering and he was emptying the dishwasher. I peeled 10 pounds of pickled onions during the game, and I couldn't tell whether that was making my eyes water or the match itself, says Kerry. I played cheese footballers on WhatsApp with my brother. You get the idea. Peter Stilton, Gianfranco Gorgonzola, etc., says Dave in Crawley. Just some of the ways you got distracted by a fairly tedious game between England and Andorra the other day. I'll tell you who was distracted. I mean, he could have gone on Candy Crush. Harry Kane, he had 12 touches in the match. Let's speak to his fellow striker, our very own Troy Deeney, about poor service. Hiya, Troy.
Hello, Jeds. How are you doing?
Not so bad.
I feel like I should have watched some cheese.
Yeah. When you're playing games like that, I mean, I don't know what the lowest ever amount of touches you ever had in a game, but obviously as a striker, you are reliant on service and you're under instruction. It must be frustrating, though, when you're just not getting involved and you're not getting the ball.
Yeah, and I thought Harry did a really good disciplined job of staying forward as well and not trying to drop deep and get everybody involved. I just thought when you look at the game, it's more on the wide players. We became very susceptible to going out to Madueke and going, go on and beat 4 or 5 and get across him. Yeah. I thought on the left-hand side, I thought Rashford was very predictable, very one-paced. But I just thought we need to do more as a team. I don't think we got Eze involved a lot, but for Harry, he did a decent job. Didn't really have any chances, which we thought he should have scored. But it's a stubborn team, and unfortunately, and probably like you guys, you go into that game watching it, knowing what's going to happen, knowing it's going to be all England attack versus defence. Excuse me. And, even if we won 8-0, we wouldn't have learnt much. So it was a little bit disappointing either way. I would like to see... We had a big debate on Friday. I would have liked to see different strikers, different wide players, just given an opportunity to showcase what they can do. I don't need to see what Harry Kane can do. I know what he delivers.
It's interesting to hear Tuchel talking about changing tactics and long throws and playing longer over the press. And that's been happening in football now for nearly a year, isn't it? It's changing. Not everybody wants to play out of the back all the time because it's too predictable and too easy to stop. So it's not surprising that he's saying that. And the other thing is this reluctance to cross the ball. It just drives you mad. You think, stop. They're so overcoached now. They're so, oh no, I'm not going to put it in. I'm going to play it back. I'm going to keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. You think, oh, do something with it. It just drives you mad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the only part of that I saw as a positive was Elliot Anderson. I thought he was excellent. He was positive, passing forward all the time. If he lost the ball, no complaints, went and got after it again. Again, we are weirdly becoming Arsenal. And what I mean by that is we're relying on corners, we're solid at the back, and we go wide and hope that someone can do something, special. It's a little bit one-dimensional, as you say. We have to give him a little bit of credit as well. We didn't have Palmer, we didn't have Saka, we didn't have Bellingham. There's a load of flair players in there that we didn't really have. But it was quite, like I say, you didn't learn anything. Not really looking forward to the Serbia game, for being 100% honest. Can't wait for the Premier League to be back.
I'm surprised he didn't include Grealish, really. His early form for Everton. He's a special player and he can win free kicks. There was a big lack of that. And Rashford, for me, Grealish for Rashford would have been a much better bet.
Yeah, I agree. I had this debate with Sam on Friday. What is the criteria to get called up now? Can someone explain to me? We got Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It's not his fault. Ruben's a lovely kid. But play a few games for AC Milan, bang average, and you get called up because you used to play for Chelsea once.
Element of that, I think. Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if he will get. I mean, he's incredibly honest, isn't he? I mean, he basically said, Ebbs didn't have his best game. He was quick to say he had a bit of a go at Madueke for sort of losing concentration and fading. You all for that? You like?
He also said Rashford played well, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so you can't take everything he says as true.
And he said, look, we're fine for strikers. He can play through the middle, but he hasn't played him through the middle, has he? I mean, nobody has played him through the middle for a while. I mean, that's the other thing that, as you said, the options up front and not playing Ollie Watkins in his own ground. He said he needed to keep senior players on the field against Andorra, which was a bit odd.
Yeah, it's the messaging's very mixed messaging. It's not about whether these guys will go to the World Cup, but let's have a real look at Ivan Toney, not the 2 minutes you gave him. Let's have a real look at Dominic Solanke. Hopefully, if the lap was fit, he would be involved as well. But let's see what these guys can do. You know, if we would have lost the game against Andorra, yes, the media would have got carried away with it. But would anyone care? Really? Are we not going to get promoted?
I wouldn't hold your breath with Ivan Toney. He ran through a list of people who can play at 9. He said we've got Harry, Marcus, Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon, Phil Foden, Morgan Rogers. Never mentioned Ivan Toney once, interestingly.
Or the lap.
Well, yeah, I think that's a personality clash, isn't it? But I think the fact that he said that is immature and stupid anyway, in my opinion, because you've not mentioned one striker there, not out-and-out striker. From Rashford to Rodgers all the way through. So basically what he's letting you know there, guys, he's probably got to go to the tournament with 2, Harry and Ollie Watkins, potentially 3 with the lap at best. And any problems happen, he's just got to rotate any of those guys up front. And then if we lose, guess what? The excuse is already built in. We didn't have enough strikers.
Yeah. Troy, are you back in on Friday?
I am, mate. I'm with my mum and my nan. I was trying to get them to shut up, but they keep talking in the background, so I apologise.
Did they watch the England game or not?
No, my nan started knitting. She said it was boring, and my mum doesn't even like football, so yeah.
We'll give them our love. Cheers, Troy. We'll see you soon.
Well done. See you later, lads. Bye-bye.
Troy Deeney back in on Friday with Sam and the gang.
I might get a knitting pattern in for tomorrow night now.
Yeah, that'd be knit one, pearl one. That'd be marvellous, wouldn't it? We're going to have a chat with Steve Harmison. We will touch on the football. Steve coached football, of course, and he is a big Newcastle fan. We'll talk about the Dan Burn situation and Anthony Gordon and other matters besides. But we are going to talk a bit of cricket as well. England won the 3rd of the one-dayers, having lost the first 2 quite spectacularly. But played well yesterday, and there was some good news, I think, in certain areas ahead of the Ashes. We'll get Harmy's take on that shortly.
here's a question. Can England win the World Cup without Jude Bellingham? Or is the group better off without him? talkSPORT's Stuart Pearce says Bellingham looks like someone who's in it for themselves rather than the team, but Pearce hopes he's way off the mark.
At the moment, we think leaving Jude Bellingham out of the team would be outlandish. But for the greater good, if it's the right thing to do, it's always the right thing to do.
Bellingham's not at this particular camp. He's had shoulder surgery, of course. It's reported there's a rift in the squad over Jude not doing his fair share of media duties. talkSPORT's Perry Groves says the players will put up with that from Bellingham.
If Jude Bellingham isn't fit and not playing in the World Cup, I don't think we've got any chance of winning it. If he's playing and he's fit and he's flying, and Harry Kane is fit and flying, and we're talking about Declan Rice as well, then with those three, you have a chance of winning it.
England's World Cup qualifier in Serbia is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Amanda Staveley, meanwhile's Middle Eastern-backed consortium PCP International confirm they are not making an offer to buy Spurs. The club say they've rejected interest from PCP and a Chinese-backed consortium. All this has come 4 days after Daniel Levy was ousted as chairman. Here's Simon Jordan, his good mate.
Feels like there might have been something in the background that Daniel was orchestrating or doing, and it may well be that he wanted to sell Tottenham Hotspur. He wants his huge amount of money as a result of it and probably wanted to stay in situ. So if that's the case, that will go to the explanation of why it's happened so quickly.
And Yannick Sinner says Carlos Alcaraz has no weaknesses in his game after the latest chapter in their great modern rivalry. The 22-year-old Spaniard beat Sinner in 4 sets to win the US Open. You can read more on talksport.com.
An extraordinary day of cricket. England have beaten South Africa by 342 runs. England win by a record margin in one-day internationals. The previous record for largest margin of victory by runs was 317. That record no longer stands. Jofra Archer, the pick of the bowlers, 9 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 18. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this gives England something to build on, because when it goes right, it can go right in a really, really good way. This England team is absolutely stacked on paper. A great day here in Southampton. England have beaten South Africa by a record-breaking 342 runs.
That is so England under this regime, isn't it? Stink the place out in the first one, look a bit better in the second, and then create a world record in the third. I mean, it was their third game of one-day cricket when it was, the first one was like a warm-up game. The second one, they were getting in their stride. They'd just not had enough chance to play the format, had they?
Yeah, and the scoreboard pressure, it was such a massive total.
Exactly, yeah.
But great to see Jofra Archer bowl. You can actually hear the ball whizzing past the bat. He's really special when he's up.
Yeah, we should look for the positives, especially when Brendan McCullum admits that he is yet to decide his Ashes team. Let's have a chat with the former England fast bowler, Steve Harmison. Hi, Steve.
Afternoon, gents. How are we?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was great to see Jofra in full flow, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It always is. I mean, to watch a fast bowler in full flight, I mean, there's nothing better. Like Andy said, you can hear the whistle of the ball going past the stumps. It's terrorising for the batter. It really is. It's not pleasant. I've been there many times as a batter. It's not pleasant. I've been there many times as a bowler. And it's exhilarating when you see the whites of a batter's eyes and you feel as though you've got one over them. And Jofra's just bubbling nicely. He really is. I mean, every time I see Jofra Archer bowl, I'm getting more and more encouraged about where the Ashes could end up, because how much he's sort of developing his, not only his skill sets, but the volume of overs he's bowling, the intensity he's bowling at, the games that he's playing in, the manner of him affecting the games he's playing in. We just need to keep that sort of juggernaut going until we get to till Perth in the middle or the end of November.
How's Mark? I'm just going to ask how Mark Wood's doing, Harmy. I know you keep in touch with him. How's he faring at the moment?
I think he's close to playing a 4-day game for Durham. I think if we can get one 4-day game into him for Durham before the end of the window, which is 3 left. Durham have started there's 3 in this block, I think. Started the first one this morning at Essex. If Durham can get a game into Mark, or England can get a game into Mark Wood in one of them last 2 games, then all of a sudden it's a different confidence for him.
Yeah.
He gets a 4-day game under his belt. He gets overs under his belt. The wickets will be a bonus. But then he goes into an Ashes series not thinking or not having that sort of the stick thrown at him that he hasn't bowled competitively since February, March. So that would be an interesting one if England can get some bowling and overs into him in September. But I think first and foremost, I think whatever happens to get out of Mark Wood in Australia is a bonus for me at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I think if you could go on.
Oh, go on.
Go on. Andy,
no, I
sorry.
was just going to say, I think Carter's had a good summer. I think he supported Archer well, and he's bowled well in the tests. I think he's done enough definitely to be considered. And the interesting one is Adil Rashid.
Yeah.
Who's still such a wonderful bowler, and it's such a shame that he just doesn't want to play or can't play Test cricket because he just seems to get better and better. And
he does, Andy. I think.
Go on.
You're right. I think unfortunately for Adil, his shoulder's just not up to playing Test match cricket. And I think if he did try and play Test match cricket, I don't think you'd see the sort of Adil Rashid that we all love and we're so important to us in white ball cricket, 40 sort of 4-over cricket or 10-over cricket from his point of view. So I agree on Kars. I think Kras I still think he's a support bowler. I really do. I think he's the support bowler. I think he's the support bowler. And what I mean by that is your 2 main frontline bowlers, your opening bowlers, the men that take the new ball, and then Kars. I don't think he's a new ball bowler. And I think he's done that role really, really well. So if Atkinson can get himself in a position for the Ashes, and you could potentially have a Mark Wood there as well, and possibly one other. Now, I'm not sure who that one other will be when it comes to sort of putting their name in lights to sort of take that new ball. And all of a sudden, England have got a decent attack going. But Carson's had a really good summer. He carried on from the winter in New Zealand, and he's had a few problems. He's had a few toe problems, which are awful for fast bowlers. But I agree with you on the Adil Rashid one. If we could find one about 22, 23 years old, I think we'd be sitting pretty in our bowling stocks. But unfortunately, he's still the best we've got, and he's getting on a little bit, Adil, but he doesn't look as though he's slowing down anytime soon because he's still so dangerous in them middle periods when batters are coming at him.
I hope they take Rayan Ahmed, though. I think he's had a good summer. He's in bat as well, and he's worth persevering with.
100% agree. I think unfortunately for England this winter with the Ashes, the only 2 spin bowlers I'd probably take are not Dawson, Bashir and Rayan Ahmed. As much as I think you've got to look for experience and potentially take a Dawson or a Leach, I wouldn't. I'd just take Rayan Ahmed and I'd take Bashir. I don't think Ben Stokes really wants to bowl any other spin bowlers. I think in England, if they really need to, I think England could go in without a spin bowler. I think if Ben Stokes has a huge volume in the first 2 or 3 Test matches, body-wise bowling, if he's fit and firing, then I think back end of that series they might just have to play 5 seamers because I don't think you can play a tired Ben Stokes and a spin bowler with 3 seamers. I think we've shown that throughout the summer. So England could go into a Test match with a full seam attack. I don't see the point of taking a spin bowler for the sake of taking one. And I think the backup spin bowler for me to show a Bashir, who seems to be the only one that Ben Stokes wants to play, would be Rayan Ahmed because he covers a lot of bases. He bats well as well. And if anything does happen, I think we've got to also remember, Andy, and I think this is a big one for Ashes selection, that a lot of talk about Ben Stokes, and this probably will create a headline, but a lot of talk about Ben Stokes' fitness. We can beat anybody with Ben Stokes. We could beat off anybody without Ben Stokes. If Ben Stokes is not fit to bowl, we are then going to have a dynamics of our team to find five bowling options. And I think that's why Chris Woakes is probably still important if he's fit to go. That's why Rayan Ahmed potentially as a spin bowler and all-rounder, would need to go, because you would need to find enough bowlers who could bat to balance the side out if we, God forbid, lost the captain, his bowling option.
Do you have concerns on that front, Harmy? Have you heard something?
No, I always have concerns on that front. I mean, he's so dynamic, isn't he? I mean, I think everybody knows how much I love the boy to bits. I always have concerns every time he runs on the field.
Yeah.
I have a concern about Ben Stokes because he doesn't do anything half measures. I mean, he doesn't know how to. He is so good that way. But I think you'll see what we've seen throughout the summer: a very, very focused, a very, very fresh and fit, firing Ben Stokes who will want to lead from the front. And unfortunately, when he does that, 5 test matches in 7 weeks is a hell of a long time for a body that's gone through the ringer and what he does. So I think we've got to be prepared. I'm not worried about it. I just think we have to be prepared for it.
Quick one on Jacob Bethel. Got his first century yesterday. There's been a lot of hype about him, of course. He's still got some cricket to play to prove he could be on the plane. Do you think he will be on the plane to Australia?
Definitely.
Yeah, he'll be on the plane to Australia. I think, unfortunately for Jacob, he's a victim of his own success. That because all the squads he's in, and sometimes you have to prepare for injuries, that you want to keep him around the India series just in case anybody in the morning of the game gets injured. So, and then you have to do that with the one-day stuff. And he hasn't been quite getting into the team, and that's why he hasn't played as much cricket. I think he's just a victim of wanting to have him around. And then you've seen the unbelievable quality. One thing I will say, guys, is the noise that's been made about him having the captaincy, not playing enough cricket, all that stuff, from whether it's come from Michael Atherton, that's what he's saying, Mark Butcher's that he say, I've had my say. It's all coming from a really good place. It's a good place in such a way that we think that this boy is so talented that we just have to find the right balance. He will be in Australia. I've got no doubt about it. I don't think he'll play from the start, but I think there's going to be a time where he will have a game in Australia in the Ashes, and he might have to rediscover the form he's just shown in Southampton, which is fantastic yesterday.
Good stuff. Cheers, Harmy. Thanks very much.
Cheers, boys.
Steve Harmison there, former England fast bowler, and we have regular updates on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Keep in touch with everything going on in the world of cricket and following on podcasts with John Norman, Harmy and the gang. So still to come, we're going to be joined in the studio by Dr. Robert, a fan of the Blow Monkeys back in the day. Robert Howard was the lead singer, a songwriter. He's a big Chelsea fan as well. I think he wants to come in and talk a bit of Chelsea. So we're delighted to have him. He's going to do that shortly, amongst other things. Andy Brassell's going to guide us around Europe. Dalton Smith, boxer, who's got a world title shot coming up later this year. Sadly not at Hillsborough. We'll be telling you why, because he's a big Wednesday fan. And Danny Kelly on that Saipan film and other matters besides. That's all to come in the second hour of the show. But Robert Howard joining us next. We're here with Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station. Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on Talk. So we always kick off with a classic when we have a guest digging your scene, the Blow Monkeys. They have their 13th studio album out and they're touring the UK. And we're delighted to say the band's frontman, Robert Howe, Dr. Robert, has joined us in the studio. Not a medical doctor.
Not a medical, no. Not even a doctor.
It's the Beatles song, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Because I've got two older sisters who bought all the Beatles singles in the 60s.
Yeah.
So I knew those. But I didn't know the albums until later.
So that was a coincidence. It wasn't named after that.
It wasn't from the Revolver thing. It was just when you start a band, you think, I've got to have a name, you know. I mean, it could have been worse. Could have been.
Has anybody ever called on you for sort of medical services?
They have, but I'm not going to tell you about it. I mean, it does come in handy occasionally.
Yeah, not a real. Along with Dr. Dre, Dr. Fox, quite a lot of doctors who are not.
Dr. Julius Irving, Dr. J.
Yeah, Dr. Julius Irving and Dr. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
New album out on Creation Youth with Alan McGee, who's popped in and seen us and the boys on Breakfast over the years. Fantastic. It's good that the band are still out there working.
Well, you know, we got together again 15 years ago. And my thing was that we're going to make new records. We're not going to be like a nostalgia act. We're going to, you know, so that's what we've done. We've done 8 new albums over that time, still playing. I mean, you know, when it all boils down to it, although the industry's changed so much, the bottom line is you make a record and you go out and play live. I mean, that hasn't changed.
That's where the money is now, Robert, isn't it, really?
Well, you're not going to do it out of streaming, man.
No, exactly, of course.
No,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is very different from when the band first started, because I would imagine, you know, we just played the single there. I imagine that was relatively lucrative. It was big in the States as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it changed our lives, that one. That was a hit everywhere, and that really gave us a career, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, but no, things are very different now. So, you know, but you know, I mean, if 1 million streams will get you a cup of coffee, if you'd sold 1 million singles...
Do you get a penny a stream or something like that?
Roll a bowl, a ball, a penny a stream.
I wish it was that much.
Yeah.
No.
Well, never mind.
That's a shocker, isn't it, really?
You're telling us before we started, we mentioned that you worked with some great people, Curtis Mayfield and Paul Weller and people like that.
Yeah.
Some good stories from those days, I think.
Yeah, with Curtis... I met him. He was playing the Dingwalls. This was about 1986.
I was quite shocked when you said that. I mean, it's like a legend, and there he was playing little gigs in this country.
Yeah, he was. He was playing. It was a period before he started to be big again, before this horrible accident happened.
Yeah.
So, we just had a hit, and I was full of myself. So I went back and found out where he was staying at the hotel in Tottenham Court Road. Knocked on his door, went in with a cassette, and they were sitting on the bed like a Buddha, writing some songs and all that. And I played him the thing, and he loved it. So he came down the studio the next day. I had to make sure that we had the readies in cash.
Yes,
because he was shrewd, but he was lovely, and so
cashed him up,
and then
that's like an old fairground. 50s in your back pocket.
All right, Curtis.
Well, the thing is, he'd been ripped off so many times. You know? I mean, he'd started his own label and all that, but he'd been royally ripped off in the Impressions before.
Yeah. That wasn't unusual in those days.
No,
was it? A guest appearance would be that sort of thing.
Yeah. Get him in, do the record. And I said, you know, it's about, you know, celebrate the day after you, Thatcher, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, there wasn't storming the Bastille or anything. We were just trying to... And then Thatcher must have got wind of this record and called an election, which kind of put the kibosh on it, because you weren't allowed to play. Radio 1 said, we can't play it because it's got a political bias.
Wow.
And like I said to you before, I said, well, hasn't Cliff Richard got a record out this week? Which that was the end of it, you know.
Yeah.
So the record crawled to number 41, and that was it, you know. But we did gig. We played the Hammersmith Odeon together, toured in Europe. It was lovely to meet and be with him.
Other stories along the way. Oasis nicked your drummer, didn't they?
We were in Japan, and Noel rings up and says to Alan, we're number 1 this week. Would you like to join? And I said, well, Alan, I think Alan White.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Brother of
Steve, who played with the Style Council.
Of course.
Yeah. So Alan was brilliant, great drummer. It still is. But I think the first thing he went and played on was Wonderwall. You know, so he was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't bitter?
No.
Have you seen them? Did you seen the summer Oasis or not?
I haven't been. No, it's not for me. I mean,
it's fair enough. I haven't been.
It's great that I get why it's so popular. I mean, these big choruses that everyone can sing along to, like the vast great rock band, you know.
Yeah.
And Liam's a brilliant frontman and all that. So good luck to him, you know.
Yeah. So, what you're playing now with the band now? How many of the original lineup are in the band?
Well, there's 3 out of 4.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, And the drummer is in, and new drummer. Well, he's not new. He's been with us for 10 years. Crispin from Galliano, and he's brilliant. He's funky, and no, it's just the 4 of us.
You got Mick Talbot playing with you.
Mick Talbot joins occasionally. Mick's an old friend from back in the 80s. We were on the Red Wedge tours together.
Yeah.
So a lot of...
Was keyboard player with Style Council.
And before that, Dexy's Midnight Runners.
Yeah.
Even before that, the Merton Parkers.
You Need Wheels. Was that them? Was that their song? I think it was there. If you want to make a deal, I think that was them.
You could be right. I'm not familiar with the Hoover or whatever.
Yeah, they're sort of off the back of that sort of mod revival, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mick's a Mick's a gentleman, a proper gentleman.
Yeah.
A great player.
So Chelsea for you, even though you live in Granada, so you watch a lot of second division Spanish football.
Yes. They were in the first division a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I've been Chelsea. For me, the turning point, I guess my real memory was the 1970 World Cup, FA Cup final.
Yeah.
So that would have been, and what appealed to me most would have been the kit, I think, at that point. But then I fell in love with Charlie Cook. And that whole team. So the first game I got taken to was 1971 FA Cup third round against Man City. And I was just overwhelmed by being at the bridge, but we lost 3-0, and I remember Colin Bell ran the game. But from that point on, and then when I moved to London, we were going through a hard period. It was sort of early 80s. So
it wasn't
playing Rotherham to stay in the second division at one point, I think. But I've been a Chelsea fan all down. I'm once you're addicted.
Yeah.
I love Charlie Cook. Yeah, this thing where he'd beat a player, then he'd go back and beat him again. Just
wait for him to get back in. When wingers used to do that,
I know.
The idea that you could say to a winger, beat him once and then wait till he gets back to you, then do it again.
Humiliate him, and then cross it in for Ozzy. That was just a magic team and a magic time.
Definitely. I agree with that.
So how did you view all the Abramovich years and everything? Exciting from a footballing point of view?
Yeah, it was exciting. You get an oligarch and you do quite well, and then a venture capitalist comes in and changes everything. Where we are now, it's a bit of a roller coaster, I've got to admit, but we are champions of the world, I believe, at the moment, whatever that means. Although not really, because Barcelona weren't in it, and
no, we all know that, but it's going in the right direction, isn't it?
It was amazing to see them dismantle PSG. I thought that was a masterclass.
Yeah, it played really well.
Because there have been times when I've watched it and I thought, how many times am I going to watch the right back or left back pass it back to our goalkeeper, who's dodgy anyway? And it's just that they touch the ball more than anyone else in the game.
I think this is really changing. I think it's going to change even more. I think people are so sick of this keeping the ball for keeping its sake.
Everyone does it. Stockport County
everybody, it drives me mad. It's not great for football.
No. It's all right if you're Barca or you're Man City at your peak.
Yeah.
What they're doing, I get it, but everyone else doing it,
it's Irish. What about Granada? What's the style there? They don't stick it.
That's not like that at all.
No,
Granada is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Whack it in the box.
Yeah. Well, it depends who's managing them. Tony Adams was there for a while. I used to see him in the local shopping centre.
Oh, well, did he?
Yeah, he was there for a while, and. But they haven't got a great history with managers, but there's a really good hardcore fan base, and I've always supported local. I grew up watching Kings Lynn. That's where I grew up.
Oh, okay.
The Linnets.
Oh, yeah.
And I still do watch their results, and occasionally you get players passing through at the end of their careers.
Yeah.
Like Ian Storey-Moore or Frank Wignall and people like that. So
on their way through the league.
On their way. Slowly.
Wow.
And that was always, and what was his name? The Welsh wizard that played for Tottenham.
Cliff
Jones. Cliff Jones
played for Kings Lynn.
He played for Kings Lynn.
Never knew that.
And he must have been in his 40s by then, early 70s. And he was still faster and fitter than anyone.
He still is.
And he's still alive, isn't he?
Oh, he's amazing.
He's amazing.
Amazing man.
Yeah, because my brother was a Tottenham fan and my dad was an Arsenal, so that's the other reason.
A man of discerning taste.
Yes.
So, you can catch the Blow Monkeys on tour. TheBlowMonkeys.com has got all the details of the gigs. They're going to be out. You're on the road with the Christians as well.
The Christians, the band, not the religious movement.
No, okay.
Not sure, in case anyone thinks we've taken a funny turn.
We're going to play out with Long Lost Child. Is that the new single?
Yeah, that's a single from our new album, Birdsong, and it's sort of soul thing. And that's kind of the direction that we've been heading for about 40 years.
Wow, brilliant. Well, lovely to see you, Robert. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you guys.
Robert Howard there from the Blow Monkeys, and we'll bring you Long Lost Child.
Long lost child. Long lost child.
Undefeated Sheffield boxer Dawn Smith popping in to see us in the next hour. Andy Brassell's going to guide us around all the big stories from the European weekend, and Danny Kelly and his memories of Saipan as a new film comes out. That's all to come after Max Scott with the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Cheers, Paul. Good afternoon. Martin Keown's told White and Jordan after 1 year in the England job, Thomas Tuchel should have a much better idea of who his starting 11 is.
Curtis Jones comes in, given an opportunity, then he's taken back out again. I mean, is this a sort of like freshers in terms of we just keep trying people, but he should know already, who these players are. I like the opportunity for players.
Troy Deeney says Tuchel's England remind him of a certain Premier League side.
We are weirdly becoming Arsenal, and what I mean by that is we're relying on corners, we're solid at the back, and we go wide and hope that someone can do something, special.
England's biggest test in this group is away.
And again, it's a supposition on my part, but Spurs putting out a statement saying we're not for sale. If you want to make an offer, make a formal offer, you've got to apply with Rule 9. Why do that?
And in the boxing, Joseph Parker's told talkSPORT he's not underestimating Fabio Wardley in his latest title defence next month, but reckons a knockout is the only outcome.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to go the distance. We'll be prepared if it does, but I don't think so.
Wardley's admitted he's second favourite, but says he's defied expectation many times before. Watch White and Jordan's exclusive studio interview with both fighters back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A former army sergeant has admitted sexually assaulting a 19-year-old soldier who later took her own life, and at least 6 people have been killed in a shooting in Jerusalem and several others injured. More from the news team at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Scattered showers in the west spreading across most of the country by the afternoon. Plenty of warm spells in between, in the east staying largely dry.
Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Well, Danny Kelly's going to join us for a bit of a football chat. And yeah, we are going to touch on this new film, Saipan.
Sounds good.
Steve Coogan as Mick McCarthy. Remember the infamous falling out where Roy left the camp?
You had a better casting suggestion. They're probably less box office, though.
Dance.
No
one does a better Mick McCarthy. If Steve Coogan has mastered a better Mick McCarthy impression than Dance, despite his brilliant
very
impression,
good.
I'll be massively surprised. But anyway, we'll get Danny's thoughts on that and how it feeds into Irish football even these days. Remember chatting to, we'll talk to Danny about it later on. I remember when Roy, when Mick McCarthy came in to talk about his autobiography. And quite a lot of it was about Saipan. But anyway, more on that later. Andy Brassell's going to look at some of the big stories from around Europe. Fairly mealy-mouthed Julian Nagelsmann after Northern Ireland gave him a proper run for their money to the closing stages of that game last night. So we'll talk about that. Memphis breaking a record in the world of Dutch football and other matters besides. In the meantime, Andy, anything else you want to discuss?
I've got the Daily Letter from Brian Limford.
Oh, good.
It's a tremendous one, this is. Naked Gun movie stars see Liam Neeson and Pammy Anderson's love story was only acting and it was strictly business.
Yeah.
I love he always says C's.
Yeah.
Wayne Lineker and Chloe Ferry, Celebs Go Dating, / Love Island, Jack and Danny, were only acting too, promoting or gaining attention.
Yeah.
Let's hope someone told Travis Kelce Tay! Love story. I don't know why that's in big capitals. Love story. This time it's going to be more than a hit about it.
This is when he puts them in capital letters, Andy shouts them like, oh,
it's all for keeps and $5 million engagement ring to boot. What is it? Did you? I couldn't understand any.
No.
With his letters, I read them over and over again. I think, no, didn't understand that at all.
Like free form. I don't know how he does it.
It's jazz.
It is jazz. It's star letter writing jazz. Erling Haaland, you've seen this. He's had to have some stitches in his lip.
Oh yeah.
The luggage door of the coach whacked him there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real wasted opportunity for our social media guys who do love to entice you into a story.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have easily have said Erling Haaland had to have stitches after attack by coach. I would have clicked here. Wouldn't you?
Very good.
Well, the Norway coaches attacked him, but it was actually the motorised version.
Now, if you're a bit bored with this show,
well, blimey, I am. I've been for about. I've been meaning to tell you, Andy. Yeah,
I recommend you watch this.
Okay,
it's on Channel 5 this afternoon. It's called The Sunshine Murders and stars Peter Andre as a crime-solving pathologist. Seriously.
A crime-solving pathologist. I thought you said apologist.
Pathologist.
It was
I
apologist.
cannot see Peter Andre as a crime-solving pathologist in any shape or form. I mean, he might be fantastic in it, but I just can't see it myself. It sounds mad.
Is it in the town of Insania?
Could well be.
And is there a mysterious girl involved?
No idea.
Yeah,
very good.
That's interesting casting. Is that like a made-for-TV movie?
I've no idea.
I don't remember it.
No, yeah, it's just called.
Or is it just
one of Channel 5's dramas? And one of the things they got rid of Neighbours.
I'm going to think I will record it.
And there was a piece in the Sun today about celebrity couples and their friendships following Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh yeah.
And this one was Angela Rippon and Kai Widrington.
Okay.
And it says here, we speak every day.
Wow, really?
I know. I couldn't speak to anybody I can hardly
speak to me every day. Well,
only if we're working.
Yeah.
I don't even speak to my wife every day. I do it at home. Don't ring her up. What's the point?
I don't even speak to my wife every day.
What are they going to talk about?
Do you have like a sort of day of silence then when you decide you won't speak? I'm sure you do speak to her.
I do speak to her. I don't ring her on the phone.
Well, don't. She lives with you. Why would you do that?
That'd
just
ring
be
anybody
plain weird.
I just don't get it.
You literally used to ring me every day when you were doing 5 days
Angela
a week.
picks up the phone and Kai says, "Hello, Angela. It's Kai here. Oh, hello. What are you up to today?" Same as yesterday, really. I can't imagine it, but they're good for them if they do.
It's nice he checks in, though, because he's of an age now.
Well, that's very true.
Very nice, yeah.
Very nice idea.
Good old Kai's a nice lad. Now, Arina Sabalenka, I don't know if you saw this. I saw pictures of her wearing ski goggles after she won the US Open.
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
And I thought this was something to do with the fact she was going to go skiing afterwards. It's not an odd time of year, but I'm sure you can go skiing somewhere, probably in the States. So,
look, she's wearing them.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, we got on there. It's basically she's going on the lash. She said, we're really going to drink. I thought, what's that got to do with ski goggles? So I looked into it, and they are called champagne shades.
Yes.
It's a thing, apparently. It happened first in American sport, and they've got Moe on the front of them. I can see, oh, yeah, she's... I think she's had a couple already, hasn't she?
It's going to have pomade on the front of it.
Swigging from the bottle.
Baby sham.
Apparently it started with David Ortiz of the Red Sox, Big Pappy.
Oh, yeah.
Who, in a dressing room, apparently, got a bit of champagne in the eyes. And they're all sort of celebrating. And, there were issues. And I think a sort of a flying cork somewhere as well. And so all the players...
Did you say to me that Spurs took them with them?
Apparently, there's a story. Elias Burke in the Athletic did a piece on it a couple of months back. Yeah, and the Tottenham players apparently took all of these sort of goggles. I thought that was tempting fate. Took them to Bilbao, so if they won, they could put them on. And it's turned into a marketing opportunity. Lamine Yamal's been seen when they won the King's Cup. He had 2 pairs on, and it's now a kind of sponsored thing. You wear your glasses, you don't want a cork hitting you in the eye or champagne stinging your eyes.
Sign of the apocalypse.
So there we are. If you wonder why she was wearing them, champagne shades.
I do. I like to salute the headline writers. They come up with brilliant things. And this is a survey about football fans and their facial hair.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently, West Ham fans are the team most likely to sport a dodgy moustache. And the headline is, "I'm forever growing stubble." It's quite good.
That is rather good. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
That's a good one.
We asked you today what you did instead, or how you got so easily sidetracked by the fairly dull England-Andorra game. I'm afraid I turned to Candy Crush 10 minutes in, says Graham.
Not good.
I did the tasting notes for my IPA, says Lloyd, the Red. What else have we got?
What's his own home brewed?
I was watching on my phone and got distracted by the departure board at Warrington Bank Quay Station. The revelation that the 7:15 to Glasgow Central was 35 minutes late brought a bigger reaction from the other passengers than the game itself.
It's incredible.
So, yeah, what did you do? Where did you get easily sidetracked by that England game the other day?
I still haven't had a better idea than my original idea years and years ago about compressing the season.
Yeah.
Going from August till April and then using May and June as like the international season. And that's it. And then going to a tournament after that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you've talked about it before, so just compressing it all. So
better, they wouldn't disrupt the season so much, and it would be better for the internationals.
I heard Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel talking about this last night. Steve says, stunned into apathy by England Andorra. I started watching Austria-Cyprus, which itself wasn't particularly entertaining, till a foot-wide hole appeared near the penalty box.
Really?
Chaos ensued, match was paused, groundsmen desperately running on with buckets of sand.
Was it a sinkhole?
Well, I mean, not that big a one. It was only like a foot hole, but you could break your ankle in it. I mean, it's not a cenote. It's only about 30 foot deep, all the players pooling in it. Yeah. So there we are. A hole in the pitch. That could have livened up England Andorra.
It would have been good.
Talksport.com, text 1889, tweet TSH&J. I was listening to Trans Europe Express last night, and we'll have a kind of bite-sized take on all the big stories from around Europe. If you want to luxuriate like a warm bath of European football, you should definitely listen to the boys every Sunday evening. It's a great show.
Good. Very good show.
So we have a sort of brief little roundup with Andy Brassel. He's going to join us to look at some of the big stories from around Europe. While they were on, the Northern Ireland game in Germany was unfolding. Northern Ireland did incredibly well, just done by a couple of late goals, including a excellent Florian Wirtz free kick. But yeah, pretty mealy-mouthed stuff coming out of Julian Nagelsmann afterwards about the style of play by Northern Ireland for a team that were booed off at half-time in Germany once again. We'll have a chat with Andy Brassel very shortly.
Not unusual, is it, coming out of...
Dalton Smith's going to join us in the studio as well. He's got a world title shot later this year. He'd hoped it would be at Hillsborough, but unfortunately, he's still got a world title shot. It could well be in Puerto Rico. He'll tell us more about that later. Talk a bit of Sheffield Wednesday. Just to let you know, however you watch telly, you can watch talkSPORT from Samsung or LG TVs to Fire TV, Chromecast, Apple TV, or just grab the app on Android TV and Google TV. We're even on Prime Video. That's talkSPORT live on your screen as well as your speakers. And Andy Brassel joining us very shortly. We are, of course, here with Tool Station, ready to help at over 580 stations nationwide. Next up, Tool Station. Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on Talk Sport. F.A. Abada from the world of NFL. Washington Commanders player, looking potentially to get back in and be playing again. He's going to join us for a chat, pop in and see us after a big weekend.
Yeah, sensational weekend.
But before that, it's been a big weekend of European football, and it continues, of course, this week. Andy Brassel, Trans Europe Express fame, joins us now. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. Whenever our players go off on international duty, we do fear them getting injured. Man, it's not been a good one so far for the PSG fans. I wasn't aware of this story. Andy, tell us more.
I mean, do we fear them getting injured, or do we fear them saying something that they shouldn't have and then said it was mistranslated?
Both.
I don't know. But either way, let's lead with the injury thing. So PSG have had a bad weekend in the on the game that France played away at Ukraine, which was, of course, in Wrocław in Poland. Both Ousmane Dembélé and Désiré Doué was injured. In fact, in an interesting little twist, Doué started the game, went off, was substituted by Dembélé, who then had to go off injured himself. Now, PSG are absolutely furious about this. I mean, the Désiré Doué thing is unfortunate. He's injured his calf, so he's going to be out for 4 weeks. Ousmane Dembélé, who's got a history of hamstring trouble, they sent a note before saying, we're concerned about him. He's in the red zone, basically. And can you take care of him? They feel he was needlessly brought on as a substitute. He wasn't correctly looked after, even though the hamstring that he felt last weekend when he went off against Toulouse for PSG was the other hamstring. It was the right one, and it's the left one that's got injured. But Dembélé is going to be out for up to 8 weeks. So you're looking at both of these. They're going to miss games, the first 2 games in the Champions League, second one of which is, of course, away to Barcelona, which is quite a big one for the league stage. And they're going to miss Le Classique, probably the biggest domestic game away at Marseille. Now, PSG have accused the FFF of negligence. They're not pleased with Didier Deschamps. Deschamps came out and, as he always does, sort of inadvertently fanned the flames a little bit by saying, well, there's no such thing as zero risk football, is there? And of course he's right. But the feeling is from PSG and actually the players union that this is completely out of line. Now, the French players union, of course, have been saying, look, it's the fact that FIFA, and of course both of these guys have been injured in FIFA-led competitions. So Dembélé first in the Club World Cup and then here. So that's the concern. And really, even though PSG and the FFF, the French FA, are having a go at each other, really it's a FIFA thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's the calendar. The calendar makes it impossible. And when you knew, like going back to the Super Cup, when PSG start training and a week later they're playing Spurs, and my goodness, did they look like they'd only had a week of training for most of that game. Stuff like this is just inevitable. It's just never your bad players get injured, do they?
No, that's very true.
If they do, you don't notice.
No, that's probably it.
Yeah.
I was flitting between Freddie's Field of Dreams and the Northern Ireland Germany game yesterday. I was watching Voltemada. I mean, I watched the first 15 minutes. He looked great. From what I understand, he was diminishing returns after that. I mean, you're up in Newcastle, where you live these days, Andy. I mean, what's the word up there? Is there? I mean, I'm sure a lot of knowing who you are, Newcastle fans, going, what's he like, Andy? What can we expect? You do sense there's going to be a period of adjustment for him, isn't there?
Maybe. I mean, I think he'll be a big hit pretty quickly.
Okay.
But I think this was a bit of a reminder. I think he's very, very suited to Newcastle. And even though they paid an extraordinary amount of money for him, I think in the circumstance they're in, he's the best buy they could have possibly made. I think you look at the fact that they brought in Isak, someone who was already an achiever but had like really high potential, and Voltemada's the same, even though he's a slightly different sort of player. There's plenty to develop, and he's someone who's worked incredibly hard in his game, which, funnily enough, is sort of the difference with Isak. Of course, Isak couldn't play this weekend for Sweden because he hasn't really trained since July before making that move to Liverpool. Voltemada has been working really hard in his game, even though he's desperately wanted to leave, has not complained and just played the games and looked decent. But this was the first one where you thought, maybe now it's got over the line. He's feeling the pressure a little bit. You know, he's feeling the pressure of finally being a 90 million euro footballer. He's feeling the sense of, God, it's all been a bit of a whirl. And I've been, over to Newcastle with my mum, thought I was going to Bayern. Now I'm expected to be the number 9 leading the line going into the World Cup for the German national team. And as you say, in the image of Germany, he started very well. Then they conceded the equaliser, and he got taken off after an hour and replaced by Maximilian Bayer of Borussia Dortmund, who of course was quite close to going to Brentford before the deadline, and maybe he will end up in the Premier League at some point. But he was getting booed by the fans, Voltemade, which I thought was quite interesting. I sense at least part of this is because of the discussion that's going on in Germany at the moment, fueled by the likes of Uli Hoeneß, actually, of this is just such an extraordinary amount of money, and what has football become? Because as I've said to you guys so many times, every time Harry Kane gets a slight knock, it's like, oh my God, we paid 100 million euros for this guy. And that just doesn't happen in Germany. No. So the fact that Voltemade has had this incredible upward curve, and he's improved so much in the last 6 months, but the fact that he went from a free transfer player to the next year a 90 million euro footballer is something that they understand the power that the Premier League has in terms of finance, but it's still something that when it happens to you, it's like, what a shock. So it feels like Voltemade is being booed for not who he is, but what he represents. Now, if he starts doing well for Germany, they're going to get past that pretty quickly. But it sort of recalls a little bit like when Timo Werner went to Leipzig. He left Stuttgart to go to Leipzig as a teenager. And because Leipzig are thought of as, contrary to all the spirit of German football, he got a lot of stick, and it followed him throughout his career. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Voltemade.
Uli Hoeneß, though, he's a piece of work, isn't he? I mean, his comments about Jackson, he's so entitled.
Yeah.
They basically think Bayern is the only club in the world and nobody else counts and they're the greats. And you think, if you're playing in a one-team league, mate, don't worry about it.
If you missed it, the comments were along the lines of Nicholas Jackson will not become a full-time Bayern Munich player because he'll have to play 40 games and that's never going to happen. So I don't know, the player must feel on the floor, really.
And Kane could get injured. How does he know?
Yeah, that's very true.
That's the big question hanging over it, isn't it? Because Uli Hoeneß said on German television yesterday, it was on Doppelpass on Sport 1, he said it means for it to become obligatory, the purchase option, he's got to start 40 games. Now, I think that seems like a long shot.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you necessarily have to say it, though, Andy? It doesn't help the player's motivation, does it?
Of course, but Uli Hoeneß is like the drunk uncle at a party. He's the honorary president. He's no longer got executive decision-making capacity at Bayern. He's not in a position of power. Every time he opens his mouth, and I understand what he's done for the club, that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all his work over the decades, but every time he opens his mouth, the press department must be going, God, this is International Week. The players are meant to say stupid stuff, not the old fellas, while they're off in Spain or Colombia or wherever else. Yeah. But it's something that you just have to put up with if you're Bayern. Interestingly, though, if we're wondering how likely it is for Jackson to start 40 games. And of course, they're going to play a lot of games. They're hoping to go the distance in the Pokal, in the Champions League, etc., etc., etc. Harry Kane only started 42 last season. Right. So really, as you said, Andy, it's going to take an injury to someone, another injury to someone for them to get to that point. But seeing how long it took Bayern to piece that deal together, it must be infuriating to the decision makers there.
He'll make 40 appearances there,
but not start.
Probably be a sub every week, I would have thought.
Yeah. I heard you and Danny discussing whether Spain are the best team in the world currently heading into the World Cup next year. I mean, they've absolutely tonked Turkey in Turkey, didn't they? That is some result. Yeah, it's incredible. 6-0, and it could have been more. If anything, that flattered the Turkish, really. It's going to be quite hard for Vincenzo Montella, who's done a great job there, to get past. I mean, it was a classic Turkish performance of really badly chasing your losses, and they got caught increasingly on the counter as time went on. But especially in the first half, I thought, before the score actually started to get heavy, it was 3-0 at half time. I don't think I've ever seen a player before miss an open goal and I thought, you're the best player on the pitch. But that was Lamine Yamal. Mikel Merino scored a hat-trick, and there's no way he was man of the match, not even close. And seeing Turkey's best trying to get close to him, and just, it's quite interesting because at the moment, obviously,
everyone's like pumping up the Ballon d'Or campaign for Lamine Yamal, which means, going back to the beginning, it's quite an interesting point for, I guess, his major rival for it, Ousmane Dembele, to get injured, because we do tend to have a bit of recency bias, don't we, when it comes to voting these big awards, and I guess all the people who get involved do as well. But Lamine Yamal has got huge support from not just his teammates, but within the game. Lothar Matthäus was trumpeting him, saying, look, he's just the best player to watch in the world. Let's just give it to him. So it's quite interesting seeing people really get behind him. Kylian Mbappe, interestingly, was asked about it this weekend. He's not only very intelligent, but very honest. And he was asked about it, and he said, well, what do you want me to say? Ousmane's one of my best mates, and I play for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Which I think really casts bare exactly what it is. Basically, the way that big awards are voted for in the game, it's just like when you're at school, everyone votes for their mates.
Yeah. Real Madrid definitely won't turn up to the ceremony this year.
No
way.
I wouldn't think so.
They've not even hired a jet, Andy.
We're out of time, Andy. About 30 seconds on Memphis. He's a Dutch legend now. Tell us what he did.
Yeah, and it's funny when you consider all the stars of the Netherlands. He broke the goal scoring record yesterday. He got 2 in the win away at Lithuania, which was much harder than it needed to be, 3-2. He's on 52 international goals, breaking a tie with Robin van Persie. Incredible effort.
Brilliant. We'll catch up with you next week, Andy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
As we said, that's a bite-sized whirlwind trip through the world of European football. Every Sunday night, Trans-Europe Express with Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel gets all the big stories from the continent. You can hear the latest podcast. They talk more about Memphis, more in depth, talk about Cristiano Ronaldo as he continues to smash records. And they talk about Mbappe, talk about everything. It was a great listen last night. I was listening to the show. So go and check it out. You can listen to it now on the talkSPORT app or via your favourite podcast platforms. Just put in Danny Kelly, Trans-Europe Express. We're going to be joined by boxer and Sheffield Wednesday fan Dalton Smith in a few moments' time.
Here's a question. Can England win the World Cup without Jude Bellingham? Or is the group better off without him. talkSPORT's Stuart Pearce says Bellingham looks like someone who's in it for themselves rather than the team, but Pearce hopes he's way off the mark.
At the moment, we think leaving Jude Bellingham out of the team would be outlandish. But for the greater good, if it's the right thing to do, it's always the right thing to do.
Bellingham's not at this particular camp. He's had shoulder surgery, of course. It's reported there's a rift in the squad over Jude not doing his fair share of media duties. talkSPORT's Perry Groves says the players will put up with that from Bellingham.
If Jude Bellingham isn't fit and not playing in the World Cup, I don't think we've got any chance of winning it. If he's playing and he's fit and he's flying, and Harry Kane is fit and flying, and we're talking about Declan Rice as well, then with those three, you have a chance of winning it.
England's World Cup qualifier in Serbia is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Amanda Staveley, meanwhile's Middle Eastern-backed consortium PCP International confirm they are not making an offer to buy Spurs. The club say they've rejected interest from PCP and a Chinese-backed consortium. All this has come 4 days after Daniel Levy was ousted as chairman. Here's Simon Jordan, his good mate.
Feels like there might have been something in the background that Daniel was orchestrating or doing, and it may well be that he wanted to sell Tottenham Hotspur. He wants his huge amount of money as a result of it and probably wanted to stay in situ. So if that's the case, that will go to the explanation of why it's happened so quickly.
And Yannick Sinner says Carlos Alcaraz has no weaknesses in his game after the latest chapter in their great modern rivalry. The 22-year-old Spaniard beat Sinner in 4 sets to win the US Open. You can read more on talksport.com.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Our next guest is an unbeaten professional fighter, 18-0 with 13 KOs. He has a world title shot just around the corner. We don't quite know where yet. Maybe we'll find out in the next 10 minutes or so. He's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. He's from Sheffield. Dalton Smith. Good to see you, Dalton.
Yeah, good to see you both. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure. Now, the purse bids have just gone in for your world title shot, super middleweight world title shot. Subriel Matias is the guy you're going to fight. But it looks like it's going to be in Puerto Rico. I know you were hoping to maybe have it at Hillsborough, but is it going to be in Puerto Rico? They won the purse bid, so do they want it in their own backyard?
Yeah, so they won the purse bids. So it's looking like a sunny trip over to Puerto Rico, go and grab the title, and then hopefully we get the big one at Hillsborough.
Yeah, it does make the job harder. You do. I mean, getting a decision in somebody else's own backyard, as we know, it shouldn't be like that, but that's the way it works, isn't it?
Exactly, but I always think it's better doing it that way. Like I said, I'm the challenger, so I've got to go and earn those stripes. And like I said, I'm not phased. I said before, whether it's in Sheffield, Puerto Rico, Saudi, wherever it is, I'll go there because I'm confident I'll come back with the title.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about him. I mean, I've heard you say before you think he's a strong champion. What sort of fighter is he?
Yeah, he's, like you said, credit to him. He's a great champion. Two-time world champion. Former IBF champion. Obviously now we've got the WBC. So Subriel's. A lot say he's a handful. Yeah. I don't see it that way. I'm confident I'm going to beat him. So, like you say, I'll always give credit where it's due. He's, a great champion, great fighter, but it just makes it that more sweeter once you get the win.
Yeah, it's a great tradition, isn't there, of fighters coming out of Sheffield?
Yeah,
Brendan Ingles, Germans, probably started it all, and you're yet another one. So
yeah,
are you aware of that growing up in Sheffield?
Yeah, so obviously I know Sheffield's always been a boxing city. Obviously the champions it's produced over the years, and obviously it was Brendan Ingle and Dominic. And obviously now my dad's built his own legacy in Sheffield, obviously with the Steel City Gym, and we feel honoured to carry that legacy going. It's like keep the flame going. And yeah, like I said, Sheffield's always been a big boxing city, and may it continue.
How does that affect your relationship with your dad in being your coach? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It works, but we have as ding dongs every single day.
Yeah.
But I said it before downstairs, especially in boxing, father-son coach relationships, you can't make them work.
Yeah.
They either work or they don't. That's the way it is. And, I like to say me and my dad have worked. Don't get me wrong, it's no easy going, but he knows me better than anybody else.
He's always got your best interest.
He's always got my best interest. Yeah. Like I said, I believe he's one of the best coaches in the world, alongside that. So, I can't grumble. We've been on a great journey together.
I often wonder in those moments when you're watching your son, like Enzo and Joe and stuff in the past, the Calzaghes, we've talked to them, when you're watching your son fight, and, there might be a fight when you're on the, you're taking a bit of a beating, but you might feel in the ring you can get back. But as a dad, I wonder if emotion ever kicks in, you're thinking, I can't watch this, and the towel's going in.
Exactly, and, I always say, me and my dad haven't really got a father-son relationship. We have, but we haven't. It's boxer coach, and that's the way it has to be. In the sport of boxing, it's not. Like you say, you can't play around, and like you said, you can't go in there with emotions.
Yeah.
You've got to find that balance, and I believe we've done a good job at it, and may it continue.
When you find out then where is the fight going to take place and when? You got to.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be end of November, December time. But I'd like, touch wood, we get all the details this week. Once contracts and stuff are sent over. So I think before the end of the year's out, I can see I'll have that world title.
Yeah. And then getting back to Sheffield, ideally at Hillsborough for maybe if it's a great fight, you might want to try and win it back in Sheffield. That might be fun.
Exactly. Obviously, one fight at a time. But I've always said my dream is to sell out Hillsborough. Have a big fight there. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I believe I'm on the right path to do so. And
these are tough times for Wednesday fans at the moment, aren't they? I don't need to tell you that.
It's very tough.
It must be so hard to watch what's going on at a club you love like that.
It's frustrating, and like you say, it's a club I love, and it's not only that, it's the history of the club as well, how well known it is, and it's just a shame. Well, mainly it's an owner what sent it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not afraid to say that now. Whether he stops me from fighting there or not, but I'm gonna stick up for my club. I believe as a fan, it's my job to do that, and hopefully we get some light at the end of the tunnel, and not too long.
Yeah, and maybe hopefully you'll be under a new regime when you fight there.
Yeah, exactly that.
Good. We had Fabio Wardle and Joseph Parker in with Jim and Simon and the gang a little bit earlier on. That'd be an interesting fight, won't it? It was interesting. Fabio saying, "Look, I know I'm the underdog because Joe's been around a bit. He's just a great, durable fighter. He's been in with so many good people. He always gets good fights, doesn't he?"
Exactly. Obviously, he's experienced. He's been in some big fights. Obviously, Fabio Wardle coming through, he's still, he's inexperienced in a way compared to Joseph Parker. And I still think it's going to be a great fight. Obviously, Fabio, he's fresh, he's young, he's got that grit between his teeth, and like you say, don't be surprised if Fabio wins that.
You had the more traditional route because you were a good sort of junior amateur, and you were really considering going to the Olympics, weren't you? But decided to turn pro. I mean, that must be always a difficult decision to make because a gold medal.
Yep.
I mean, we had Roy Jones Jr. on the other day, and he was saying he finally got the medal he was robbed of in Seoul, and he was like reduced to tears. The bloke's won everything, 4-weight world champion, but the gold medal meant as much to him as anything. So that must have been a temptation.
Yeah, I seen that video. It was, you could see it meant a lot to him, and fair play to I think it was South Korean.
Yeah, that's
guy,
right. Who gave it back to him.
Fair play to him, but it's obviously I went the traditional route. Obviously, I had a successful amateur career. I'm still good. I didn't make the Olympics, but. Looking back, it was a blessing in disguise, where I'm at in my professional career now, and, with the whole COVID situation and stuff as well.
Of course, it
turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. So, we look forward to getting the date for the fight, and hopefully we'll chat again a little bit nearer the time. But in the meantime, don't we wish you well?
Yep.
And we don't speak to you before. Best of luck in Puerto Rico, if that's what it happens to be. And we'll look forward to chatting with you before you defend it at Hillsborough. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Exactly, that's the plan. So, but yeah, thank you for having me on.
That's a great pleasure. The latest edition of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver, Duke McKenzie and Dalton is available for a longer chat tonight at 8 p.m. on the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel. This Saturday, season anticipated rematches, Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan battle out for the IBF welterweight title in an historic All-Irish World Championship clash. And you can watch that only on DAZN.
Boxing update on TalkSport with DAZN, the global home of boxing.
Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Just before we chat to Danny Kelly, let's hear from Thomas Tuchel. We spoke to Faye Carruthers, who we'll catch up with in Belgrade in about an hour's time. And Faye asked him about the lack of creative threat from the England side.
But most of the time I was happy with where we tried to speed up the game. The central defenders had to do that job because there's no other way. And then we attacked with wider fullbacks today to have 3 players on the wing to create chances. This is also where the goals came from. Ebbs had unfortunately a bit of an unlucky game. He trained so good, and we thought he can maybe open it up for us with the right passing, with the right choices, and his creativity. He struggled a bit. He should have scored 2 goals. We should have scored after a ball win with Elliot Anderson. So I think we could have had life easier, but. Overall, where it was possible, I think it was a much better performance than in June.
Yes. Joining us now is Danny Kelly. Good afternoon, Danny.
What about that then, Paul?
Yeah. Yes. I heard what he said.
Much better than the performance in June. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Elliot Anderson, we'd have very little to crow about in terms of the performance.
I couldn't work out when he went afterwards. I mean, Thomas Tuchel's a clever man. He's a very good coach too, for what it's worth. When he started going about long throws, was that a red herring or a dead cat? I couldn't work out which fish or fauna it was when he started up about long throws, just to get the conversation away from how useless England had been.
Well, I think he's got a point there. I think football is changing, and I think you see a lot the effect of a long throw. The guy at Brentford is amazing, and the same with not always playing it out from the back. That's been happening for about a year now.
Andy, of course, I totally agree with that. You know, the coaches have to react. We got ourselves into a place where we saw teams in League Two both playing it out from the back in a kind of comedy way. The way around that is to attack more directly. I didn't think there was much wrong with what he said, but it was the way he introduced it in the middle of the conversation about England's lack of creativity. All right, well, maybe we'll have to do long throws then. And you know, the guy who used to coach the throws at Liverpool and Brentford, I've seen him on TV this morning saying it's no good unless you've got somebody who can absolutely bomb it onto the centre circle. And are we going to end up with specialists? Will they have to nationalise Rory Delap and he just comes out for England games to throw the ball to the penalty spot?
It's possible.
Away from England, Tottenham are in the news. You are the host of the View from the Lane podcast on The Athletic. And first they're in the news for saying they're not for sale, and then someone who's probably not going to buy it says, I'm not going to buy it. So Amanda Staveley coming out today.
Well, can I add to that I'm not going to buy it
No,
either?
Or am I. I've decided, Danny, I'm not going to buy it.
A consortium of me and you, Paul.
I'm not going to buy it. Apparently an NFL... or some NFL franchises are looking at it. That's a logical thing. I mean, maybe it's just reporters putting 2 and 2 together. But
I was a little bit concerned to see some potential Chinese money coming in, looking at the record of some Chinese owners in the world of professional football in this country, Danny.
Also, he is the guy with the money from China. Has made his money from a knockoff of TikTok knockoff. I don't know what that's like. I have to be. I mean, Andy and I, when you were away, Paul, for what seemed like 3 months of holiday, Andy and I discussed, frankly, old geezer's getting obsessed with TikTok. He's had to come off it completely, and I have to limit him. It's so addictive.
Wow,
very addictive.
I do like the idea, though, in playing in the knockoff TikTok stadium. If that's what the club, I'd see you in the knockoff TikTok. I'll be there at
TikTok knockoff dome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. On a serious note around Tottenham, Martin Samuel wrote an interesting piece yesterday, and I kind of saw where he was coming from in the Sunday Times, saying that, you know, the idea that Daniel Levy worked in a vacuum and flew in the face of everything that ENIC wanted to do over many years by tightening the purse strings and not spending lots on wages. The idea that he was holding out against the ownership is pretty naive. So how much change are we likely to see? We're not suddenly going to see him splashing the cash. It's meet the new boss, same as the old boss, isn't it?
Hard to know, because even the sudden announcement for the last 4 years, it has been publicly known that the club is for sale. And then within a week of Daniel Levy going, suddenly the club is definitely not for sale. Though I would like to see that tested with somebody who brought definitely 3.5 billion quid to the table. I suspect that might change very quickly. There's a wider context here, isn't there? and that if Spurs were to be sold to, say, an American investment company, that would take the number of American owners to 14. And that is the threshold you need to change the rules of the Premier League. And now I'm not suggesting they would do away with relegation. I'm not suggesting they would bring in a salary cap, but suddenly they would have the power. Now, that's going to happen one way or the other, the Americans, because either Birmingham or Wrexham will get promoted very soon, and you will have 14 American owners. And I take the NFL thing very seriously, Paul, because why would NFL owners be queuing up to buy football clubs in Europe? Because they know that there is still untapped value in a sport that is much more global than their own.
Funny enough,
39th game.
Well, it feeds into the conversation we had with Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, when he came and saw us. It must be over a decade ago. And I said to him, I think at the time he was being linked to buying Liverpool, and he said categorically, I would never buy into a sport that has promotion and relegation. So that kind of tells you a bit about the mindset, doesn't it? And
they don't understand how you could have unlimited spending on salaries. The salary cap means you have to make incredible decisions like, we're going to pay the quarterback, shall we say, for the sake of example, a third of all the wages, which means you have to sacrifice in other positions. That's just not the way football has worked for the past 150 years. Yeah. But what we're seeing in the last 30 years, I'm sorry, people who have been listening who weren't even born 30 years ago, is the pace of change in football is accelerating and accelerating.
Yeah, nothing's off the table.
And I don't know what's going to happen with Spurs, but it is a bit odd that after having one corporate strategy, i.e. to get investment or to be sold for several years, they suddenly have completely changed tack. I'd yet to see that tested.
Now, it's a new film out, Saipan. Roy Keane playing Mick McCarthy. And, of course, it's the infamous fallout between Roy Keane and the World Cup camp in South Korea, Japan. And I'm sure, like you, Danny, myself and Andy, spent a very memorable evening with one of the guys who was at that table where it all kicked off, who gave us in chapter and verse on what was said. It's pretty explosive stuff. I can only imagine they've spoken, the filmmakers, to a lot of people who are in the room, and they will get... But it was a pretty seismic... For those that weren't around in those days, it was a pretty seismic story at the time, wasn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. You're on the verge of a World Cup. The Republic of Ireland have qualified again for a World Cup. Oh, for those days. And you get the manager and by far the best player, with all due respect to his teammates, coming to eyeball confrontation, in which some pretty fruity language, and I've had it confirmed to me what the language was by somebody who's in the room. And if you're listening, Matt Holland, Matt tells me, Matt, whenever you even mention Saipan, he turns away from you slightly, so he doesn't have to think about it. Yeah. Oddly enough, Matt Holland... before the meeting, he was the last player to sit and spend some time with Roy out on a beach. And he won't mind me repeating this because it's absolutely true. And it became clear to him that Roy was not very happy, but also that he harboured ambitions of winning the World Cup, which he didn't think was shared by the manager.
Yeah.
It also divided opinion in the country where I live here in the Republic of Ireland quite extraordinarily. Literally... People were queuing up to take sides in this, and people thought Roy was being very modern in his ambition. Of course, this was during the Celtic Tiger and all the rest of it. Yeah. Others thought that Mick McCarthy was being much more realistic about Ireland's chances, although Mick never played down Ireland's chances. Roy's argument was, if you don't have a bag of balls, how can you win the World Cup? I can't wait to see the film. Incidentally, I do know another film. It's Japanese, called Saipan, and it's about the terrible fighting on the island between the US Marines and the Japanese Army in 1944. I suspect this one to be far more bloody.
Apparently, at times on the table, when he was getting stuck into Mick and telling about all his shortcomings, somebody would just sort of look up slightly from the table when the other is a bit Father Ted and say, that's a bit strong, Roy. And then they get it. They get a 5-minute sweary diatribe. So suddenly their heads weren't popping up anymore.
Got a good review.
I can't wait to see it because it'll probably be good. It'll probably be dramatic, and it's bound to be comedy gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
It says the film is a dramatisation. Legal messaging nods to a story that may never be known in full, and one that still inspires impassioned opinions.
Yeah,
very interesting.
If they've used all the language, interesting. Danny, we will catch up with you soon. Thanks very much for joining us. See you next week.
Absolutely. Cheers, man. Bye.
Danny Kelly back with us next Monday as the Premier League returns. We'll be back next Sunday night with Andy Brassel for Trends Europe Express. And we'll try and get one of the stars of Saipan to join us on the show. And Matty Holland may or may not have been my source for those stories as well. We're going to be chatting to Effie Abada a little bit later on. NFL. It was quite an eventful weekend. We brought you some great games here.
Very exciting weekend. Just
on the
what
talkSPORT
NFL
network.
wanted.
Yeah, some really good matches. Effie Abada, who knows, could be back playing soon. But he's on punditry duty, and he's going to be joining us for a chat later on to look back on the first weekend. The WSL returned. There were some big results, some great performances. Angelina Kelly will be joining us during the season. She'll pop in. And we're in Belgrade, and if it's sunny Belgrade or not, we'll find out when Faye Carruthers joins us as we start to build up to Serbia, England tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT. to England tomorrow. But first, Max Scott has the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon. Some of the numbers might have got a little bit better, but overall things are not improving under Thomas Tuchel. That's according to former England defender Martin Keown.
We are, Jim, statistically we are winning the ball back higher up the pitch, but we're not scoring more goals. And ultimately, that's where you're judged on, really. Are we improving? Is it more exciting? Are we hitting the back of the net? No, we're not. That's going down.
For Troy Deeney, one of the reasons for that is the squad selection. He'd rather see the likes of Grealish in for Marcus Rashford and does not understand Thomas Tuchel's thinking.
What is the criteria to get called up now? Can someone explain to me? We got Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It's not his fault. Ruben's a lovely kid. But play a few games for AC Milan, bang average, and you get called up because you used to play for Chelsea once.
But Simon Jordan's bewildered at the exaggerated outcry after that victory over Andorra.
When they get into the World Cup competition and they're playing against teams that fancy beating England, they'll get a better way of playing. I'm not in the slightest bit concerned by any of this, in any more than I was concerned by it with Gav Southgate. I expect us to qualify. I expect us to qualify at a canter. And then I'm more interested in what we do in the tournament football.
Well, England's biggest test in this group is away in Serbia live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Mark Gahey has trained ahead of that, despite managing a groin issue. And ahead of Fabio Wardley's heavyweight title shot against Joseph Parker next month, he's told talkSPORT he understands why he's considered a massive underdog.
The general talk is Joe is the obvious favourite, and not that I've come in to lose at all, but I'm expected to lose because he's more proven, he's more experienced, he's been at world level before.
Parker says Wardley has undeniable knockout power. You can watch that exclusive studio interview with both fighters on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Will the new Home Secretary go further than her predecessor in tackling small boat migrant crossings? And a man in New Zealand who's been on the run for nearly 4 years has been shot dead by police.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Scattered showers spreading across much of the country this afternoon. Warm, sunny spells in between and staying mostly dry in the east.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT.
18 plus, begambleaware.org.
We've got an Oasis-related football story very shortly, but before that, we've got a bet builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Ben Steele. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow night's World Cup qualifier in Belgrade as England plays Serbia. Good afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon, how are you getting on?
Not so bad. I'm still smarting from the fact that you don't get assists from own goals. I was hoping I had the Madueke assist or score any time the other day, but I don't think you get it for an own goal.
No, unfortunately not. No, it's got to be got to go to his own teammate. Unfortunately, but you've gone with him again for this bet, have you not?
I have. Yeah, it's probably worth explaining how a bet builder works briefly.
Yes. So this would be a bet builder. It's just your standard ACCA, but it's based on just the one game. So multiple outcomes in the same game, keeping you going throughout that game. All of the picks here will be selected by us. So what the two of you in the studio, the producer, myself, and then the most popular pick, which is from the Paddy's punters so far who've been betting on the game so far.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go Madueke again. I'm just going to go 1+ shots on target. I think he'll get an opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah, I fancy that as well. To be honest, priced at 4-9, he looked pretty bright in the last two qualifiers. Although, as a lot of the talk has been on the show so far, it was only against Andorra, so maybe we can't count much of that. But he seems fairly liked by Tuchel, so I'd imagine he'll start, and he's a decent one for getting a shot off, isn't he?
They've got some quality up top, so you've gone both teams to score.
I have. It's got a feeling of 1-1 about it. So yeah, both teams to score.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, neither side's actually conceded so far, but I think they've only played Andorra and Latvia, so it's not exactly unsurprising stuff. England a little bit shaky at the back against Senegal, which I think is probably the fairer comparison for opposition since Tuchel's taken over. So yeah, I think both teams to score, which is just under evens at 19-20, is looking a good pick.
Producer Sean has gone for the draw. I would imagine most people have gone for the England win, but has the draw been popular?
Relatively so, yeah. So it's 5-2, so a bit of a punchier price than some of the other ones we've had here. But look, as you were saying even early, just before I hopped on here, it's not exactly been inspiring stuff from Tuchel, has it? So a draw, it's probably their toughest game of the groups, given the rest of the teams in the thing. Would Tuchel be that disappointed with a draw here?
No.
Say probably not.
No, I totally agree. Although in light of the criticism building up to it, in a draw and a good performance, I think it'd be pretty key. The most popular one is Harry Kane. 12-touch Harry Kane last time out to score any time.
Yeah, look, it's quite rare that you get an England game where he doesn't score, and worth factoring in here that any of the player picks that we have are covered by Paddy Super Sub. So if he only has the 12 touches and Tuchel holds him off, the bet will roll over to I presume Ollie Watkins, who's probably just a bit disappointed he didn't get on at Villa Park on Saturday, isn't he? But yeah, 13-10 is Harry Kane to score.
And I mentioned the threat they have up top in a couple of areas, and you've gone for one of them for your selection.
I have, yeah. Dusan Vlahovic, who's not really been starting for Juventus so far this season, but he scored twice off the bench. He also scored their only goal in a 1-0 win over Latvia on Saturday. But he doesn't have to score in this game. He's just got to get a shot on target, force Pickford into a save, and that'll be a winning pick. That's 8-15.
Fantastic. So cumulatively, then, what are we looking at, Ben?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just run through them all again there, just to make sure we've got it clear. We've got Madueke and Vlahovic to have 1+ shot on target, both teams to score, the draw, and Harry Kane to score any time. That will be priced up at 22-1. So here at Paddy's, we'll put a £10 bet on that, which if we're lucky enough to have found a winning bet, we'll be returning £230, including stakes. All proceeds will be going to the Attitude Foundation, do some great work supporting LGBTQ causes.
Nice one, Ben. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Have a good one.
There we are. Ben Still there from Paddy Power. That's the Paddy Bet Builder today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT.
18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Now, everything Oasis touch at the moment turns to gold, of course. So they're over in the States and they'll be back for some more Wembley shows. But even a 30-year-old pub football kit with a little bit of Oasis stardust is suddenly worth over $2,000. There is quite a story behind it. It's a pub in Keighley, up in West Yorkshire, and it's a Timothy Taylor's pub. And joining us now from the brewery is the marketing director, Jane Jenkins. Hi, Jane. Hello, can you hear us? I think you can, can't you?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good to talk to you.
We can, yeah, good to talk to you too. Now, the Oasis connection to this pub, the Bolt Makers Arms, came about through a couple of Oasis roadies at the time, and they strong-armed Liam and Noel into sponsoring the pub kit.
Yeah, they were part of the Bolt Makers Arms football team and decided to be a little bit cheeky and ask, and the boys agreed. So great excitement all round. And the funny story behind it is that the kit was actually maroon. And so there was a kit developed in maroon, but of course the boys are Man City fans, so then insisted on having a sky blue one that was used for the away matches as well. And that was the first one they used for an away match at Gargrave, which they actually won. Yeah. And there is a sky blue one still on the wall in the Bolt Makers Arms in Keighley that's proudly displayed for that link.
They had a bit of maroon on their away kits, City, over the years, haven't they?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's a colour that's not sort of, disassociated with them. So where was it? Was it sort of lying in a sort of bin bag in a corner in the pub all these years? Who had it?
I'm not entirely sure, actually, because we've come to it from the angle of knowing that it came up for auction. So I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you a bit there, because I don't really know the history of it, where it was in very good condition. Oh. And obviously some collectors have now got their hands on it, so it's very relevant at the moment.
In the paper, it said it was a set of kits.
Yeah, I think it is a set of kits, isn't it? Is it a full set of kits?
Yeah, there's a number of the kits, and two of them have got Liam and Noel's names on the back as well, so they were the most popular, not surprisingly.
So, it's quite a good advert for the kit company. You can have a kit that's sat there, a shirt that's sat there for 30 years and in still good enough nick to wear. I wonder if a Sunday team now will wear it. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
So, yeah, and at the time, I think Adidas weren't really sponsoring too many kits. I know there was AC Milan and Liverpool, Man United, and for the Bolt Makers Arms, Timothy Taylor's Bolt Makers Arms in Keighley to be running out with the Adidas and the Oasis sponsorship on there was quite an accolade.
Do you know if they were any good at all, Jane? Did they win anything during that period when they had Oasis on the shirts?
Well, I have seen a clip from Calendar News with Richard Whiteley from their first match, and they were chuckling away because I don't think they'd had much success the previous season, but that was their first match and they actually won. So they were very buoyant and riding high, thinking their sponsorship had spurred them on.
And the pub's still there, and people can go along and take a look at the shirt, the one that's on the wall in the pub.
Yeah, pub's still there, very much so. It's the smallest pub in Keighley, but it's a great little community club run by a fantastic landlady, Andrea, quite near the station. So it gets a lot of, loyal fans and then people visiting. Great, roaring fire, shirt on the wall, and a great lineup of Timothy Taylor's cask ales.
They're going to now have a kind of pilgrimage by Oasis fans to the pub. It could be a bit like that one that Taylor Swift's boyfriend used to take it to. We'll see.
I'm a big fan of the Landlord IPA. Actually.
You're a big fan, are you?
I am. It's really nice. I always have it on Sunday. It goes very well with roast beef, you'll find.
Well, there we are. A celebrity endorsement from Andy. If you didn't have Oasis, you've now got Andy Jacobs, Jane.
Not as good.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Great. Okay, thanks, guys.
There
Bye.
Jane Jenkins there, marketing director at Timothy Taylor's. That's drunk by Andy Jacobs. Yes, right. Marvellous. In for a free case. It's Effie Abada's joining us next. It was a lively weekend in the NFL. We brought you many a game here on talkSPORT. We'll reflect on that with a man who played for Washington Commanders and others, and I think could well be back playing again. Effie Abada joins us for a chat in a few moments' time. We're here with our very good friends at Toolstation, standing behind every single tradesperson of Britain. Next stop, Toolstation.
Ferguson sends it back. Robbins puts it down. Prater's kick is on the way. It is good, and the Bills win. The Buffalo Bills pull one out of the fire, and they win 41-40 from down 15 in the fourth quarter. They come back and win it, and the Buffalo Bills are 1-0. What a comeback.
Yeah, that certainly was one of the stories of the weekend. Yeah. Joining us now, a player that could well be back in the NFL sometime soon, injuries permitting. Efe Obada, defensive end, joins us once of the Washington Commanders. Good afternoon, Efe.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, that was one of a number of really exciting games and eventful matches. It all kicked off, didn't it?
Commanders, it was pretty easy for them.
Yeah, it was. It was a divisional game, obviously with New York Giants. I would like to see more from the Giants, and especially defensively. They've acquired a lot of really good pieces. They've also got Russell Wilson as a quarterback, but the Commanders, in top form, kind of put them away.
It was perfect for the NFL. There was, I think, the early window, 4 or 5 games went right down to the wire and switched leads in the last minute. It was everything you want an NFL Sunday to be. Really.
Yeah, definitely. For me, we just saw some highlights from Buffalo and the Ravens, and that was an amazing game. A bit disappointed with the Ravens. I feel like they were up. The game was theirs to win, but Buffalo. I play there. They teach championship mentality. And they just find a way to win, and Josh Allen, absolute competitor. But for me, the highlight game was the Jets versus the Steelers. That was a really
Aaron Rodgers playing for the Steelers against the Jets, and he burned, didn't he? 4 touchdowns.
He did. Huge shout out, huge respect to Justin Fields, young quarterback. Trying to figure out what it takes to win. And he played really well. Took huge leaps in that game, and I think I'm excited to see what his season brings for him.
The Aaron Rodgers story is an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, getting that bad injury, been written off by a lot of people, and then going off and presenting Jeopardy, wondering whether he was going to go down that route and become a TV presenter. But he's clearly still got it, Effie, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a knowledge of wealth. He's been doing this for a very, very long time. And, he's got a big personality, and sometimes that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But he is a competitor, and right now he's made a lot of money and he's played for different teams, but now he's doing it for the love of the game.
The Bucs-Falcons game was a good game. Michael Penix Jr. with an amazing dive from 5 yards. I don't know how he did that. Incredible.
Yeah.
But they didn't win, did they?
No, they didn't. Baker Mayfield found a way to put them away. But
they missed a field goal, didn't they?
They did. But it's they're going to see each other again. It was the NFC South, division rivals. So they're going to go back, and they're going to see them again. So.
There's been a bit of talk about the 49ers for the Super Bowl, maybe because it's been played in San Francisco. I mean, they started off with a win. Who do you fancy this year? Who looks good from your point of view?
That's a great question. Everyone's only played one game, so it's very hard to tell. But there's some key teams that have come out there and played strong from last year and are real contenders. We're never going to count out the Chiefs. We've got the Ravens. We've got Buffalo. You've got the Eagles, of course. Washington, is going to make a great case. I'm a bleeding heart for the Carolina Panthers, even though no one is ever is never going to agree with me. But maybe not this year or next year. But I feel like they're putting the pieces together in the next couple of years. Hopefully, they'll be contenders as well.
And Colts fans celebrating. This was their first Week 1 win since 2013.
Wow.
That's a terrible record.
That is a terrible record. They've got a new quarterback in Danny Jones. He came out in top form. He was playing lights out, and I feel like it's reinvigorated the culture and that franchise and that organization. And if that game is something, if it's foreshadowing to what we're going to see this season, it's going to be a very exciting moment and season for the Colts.
Now, you're doing a bit of TV and radio currently and telling us you're enjoying it, but you've not given up hope of getting back in, have you, and playing again?
No, I've not. Honestly, I've been very privileged and very blessed to have the opportunities that I've had in the league and, in terms of working with Sky, ITV, BBC, presenting a Super Bowl, covering games. I'm just taking it all in. I'm just growing and learning. I'm still training. I'm still available. If a team calls, I'll be out of there.
Yeah.
But if
he doesn't let himself go.
No, if anybody's prospective, he's looking in good nick. What about we've seen. We saw Louis Rees-Zammit recently go over there and try his hand, has come back to rugby. We spoke to him in the studio, and Christian Wade said the same thing when he came and saw us. Part of that is the playbook. When you go over there and play, these kids, they're just by osmosis. They're just absorbed in the game from a very young age. Mm-hmm. It's very hard as an outsider to come in and pick that up.
It's extremely difficult. It's like learning a whole different language. They do have an advantage in terms of it's part of their culture. They've been playing it from some of my teammates have been playing the sport since the age before.
Yeah.
And for us, we just don't have the resources, we don't have the coaches, we don't have the experience and the time and when we go over there, we don't have the time to develop. It's the NFL. It's a business. You have to show your value now, and that's just the case. So I've been very fortunate. Christian Wade, I was in Buffalo with him. He's been he was a great player, but it's just some of those offensive positions require more time to develop. I started off as a tight end, and the learning curve was so high that I was like, you know what? In order for me to have a chance, I need to go to the defensive side because it would allow my athleticism and my raw talent and aggression to kind of show, present itself. Some people don't have that opportunity to do that. So yeah, it's so difficult. It's so difficult to break through.
We got a game this evening, of course, haven't we? And we got that on talkSPORT, early hours of tomorrow morning. Vikings versus the Bears. How are you seeing that one, Effie?
Oh, I see the Vikings absolutely destroying the Bears.
Wow.
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Obviously, the Bears have got a new head coach. And he comes from was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Great guy. He's a very, very smart guy. But I still think that the Bears have a way to go. I'm sure they're going to put a great season together. But that's a tough division that they're in. But my money's on the Vikings.
Just finally, were you an NFL fan when you were sort of first living over here? I mean, or not? Is it something you had the physical attributes to play a game and you got into it through that?
Absolutely not. I knew nothing about the NFL. For me, I did it solely because of the physicality, the brotherhood. It was an outlet for me. I was playing for a local team, and it just led to something else, and then that's what made me a fan. When I got signed by the Dallas Cowboys, I didn't even know who Jerry Jones was. Honestly, I didn't know anything about the sport. All my mistakes and all my learning curve was made in the NFL, and slowly through hard work and determination and just opportunities, I was able to learn and find a love for the sport. That's and it's changed my life, and I'm so grateful that now it's becoming part of the English culture, and they're expanding to different countries and trying to grow the game globally. Also, what OC Manura is doing in Africa as well is huge. So initially, no, but it's changed my life, and I'm using it and the platform that it's afforded me to impact my community and the people that want to become NFL players.
Yeah. Well, look, keep doing what you're doing media-wise, but let's hope you can kind of get back in and be playing again. So I'm sure we'll speak to you during the season.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
No, thanks for having me.
F.A. Abada there. Alex Cook's going to join us very shortly, and this is the reason why. A statement has just been issued, and it says the Premier League and Manchester City FC have reached a settlement in relation to the arbitration commenced by the club earlier this year. Hang on, Andy. Concerning the Premier League's associated party transaction rules. And as a result, the parties have agreed to terminate the proceedings. This settlement brings an end to the dispute between the parties regarding the APT rules. As part of the settlement, Manchester City accepts that the current APT rules are valid and binding. It has been agreed that neither the Premier League nor the club will be making any further comment about the matter.
What about the 115?
Well, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, will be coming on to comment further on the matter. In a few moments' time, we'll be talking WSL and we'll be in Belgrade with our own Faker others, ahead of England's game against Serbia tomorrow.
let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision. It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
Yes, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Andy Goldstein, Darren Benton here at Forward Drive. Going to catch up with Faker others over in Belgrade and look back on the WSL weekend. Before that, though, as Amelia was just saying, it's been a bit of breaking news around Manchester City and rules around sponsorship that had a difference of opinion with the Premier League. Let's look at what that means with Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent. Hi, Alex.
Afternoon.
So who's won? I suppose on a simple, but is it of the Premier League one or of Manchester City one, or is it a draw?
Yeah, I think probably both sides will claim some kind of victory. I think first and foremost, it's important to stress this is not related to the 115 charges that still hang over Manchester City, because already my phone's been red hot with people saying, does this mean that the City are off the hook for those charges? Have they been cleared? We're still awaiting a decision on that. This is a separate case, as you say. It revolves around the Premier League's associated party transaction rules. And I think the Premier League will see this as a victory. It follows Manchester City winning a legal challenge, deeming the rules, which were originally brought in actually following the Saudi takeover of Newcastle, void and unenforceable. The Premier League at that stage decided to amend, not completely rewrite the rules. City challenged again with the same independent panel, but this seems to be basically Manchester City backing away from that challenge, which is why I think the Premier League will claim it as a victory for themselves. You could also see it, I guess, as a bit of an olive branch from Manchester City to the Premier League ahead of those 115 charges being heard and a verdict being delivered on those. So fascinating stuff. It's a very short statement that Manchester City have released in the last 20 minutes or so, only 3 paragraphs long. The final paragraph says it's been agreed neither the Premier League nor the club will be making any further comment about the matter. So you're not going to see either side release any statements claiming that they've won. And I think this is part of the problem with the whole process when it comes to the Premier League. And it was something I pushed Richard Masters on when I attended the launch ahead of the new season in Liverpool last month. why is everything seemingly so clandestine when it comes to rulings? And he didn't really answer. He just said, that's the process. It's agreed that no party can speak publicly, but it does leave quite a bit of room for interpretation, doesn't it?
Is this good news?
Transparency would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Is this good news or no news for a team like Newcastle, feeling pretty hamstrung around PSR and who would probably like to do some convenient sponsorship deals related to their ownership?
I think it's probably better news for the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, really, because it means that teams like Manchester City and Newcastle, to a lesser extent, can't gain that advantage. This was all about companies basically under the same ownership not being able to funnel money into the football club by means of associated sponsorships. Obviously, Arsenal and Liverpool can't rely upon that. Manchester City and Newcastle potentially could. So I guess in that respect, it's maybe bad news for Newcastle.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Apparently, Liverpool saying they won't try and bid for Mark Gay in January. It does feel a bit like a bargaining chip, doesn't it? I mean, they would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think if the price is right in January and maybe they have an injury crisis at the heart of their defence, never say never. But certainly that's the information that we're getting today at talkSPORT. It's a story by my colleague Ben Jacobs. I think more interestingly, come the end of the season, if Gay is still a Crystal Palace player, and he's made it abundantly clear, as far as I understand, that he won't sign a new contract. You're not just talking about Liverpool or even other big clubs in the Premier League who might come to the table. I wrote about it in my notebook last week. You're talking about Bayern Munich, maybe even the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, those European heavyweights who might just see an opportunity to pick up an England international, proven Premier League player on a free transfer. And of course, the advantage they have over clubs like Liverpool and others in the Premier League is he can sign a pre-contract agreement, Gay, with an overseas club in January. I think his next move is going to be really interesting, actually, because does he do that, and say accept the offer from Bayern Munich, sign for them in January with a view to joining them at the end of the season? Or does he wait? Does he gamble on the fact that he could have a really good World Cup in America next summer? Or I think he'll probably be England's first choice central defender. And then the world really is his oyster, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Poor business by Palace to let this player worth this money go for nothing. It's wrong. But
we'll see what happens. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, guys.
It's Alex Crookley on that breaking news around Manchester City.
Disappointing for that news agents in Riyadh that were hoping to sponsor Newcastle.
Fred's news agents of Riyadh. We're going to pump 76 million.
That was right. Yeah.
It's a lot of money for a tobacconist, isn't it, really?
It's really.
Anyway, let's head to Belgrade, where England are in action, looking to prove a point after some pretty underwhelming performances so far. Faker, of course, is there for us. She'll be there tomorrow night with Adrian and Jim and Stuart to bring us commentary of the game. She'll be chatting to the manager and the players. Good afternoon, Faye.
Afternoon, Paul. Afternoon, Andy. Nice to see you both.
Yes. Is it? I see you're indoors. I was hoping we'd have a beautiful sunny backdrop of downtown Belgrade. What's it like out there at the moment?
Yeah, it's lovely. I did go down there this morning. I did the hit from White and Jordan, where the Savar River meets the Danube by the Belgrade Fortress, which was really lovely. Right. But there's actually an anti-government student-led protest going on in the centre of Belgrade today. So we've been told this afternoon to steer clear. So unfortunately, you have me in a Belgrade hotel room instead.
That's fine. We're
not
happy
quite
to
the
see
same.
The ground's not going to be completely full. Because part of it has been shut down as a punishment for Serbia, isn't it?
They've had a warning as well, haven't they, about racism tomorrow night too?
They've had multiple warnings. The sanction is for what happened in their match against Andorra, so they've got 15% less capacity. The Serbian FA put out a statement, a message to their fans asking, to think about the love of football and that England are rivals, but, let's get the game on, without any trouble, because they've been fined an insane amount of money over the years for their fans for various different indiscretions, and so they're hoping that the game tomorrow night goes without any of those and happens peacefully.
If fines never work, though, the only thing that would ever work is to say, right, you're out of the tournament. Bye.
Yeah, no one's ever quite brave enough to do that. I believe
the England players have also had a discussion about what to do if there are some racist comments from the crowd.
Well, that's what we'd heard that they were planning on doing, but we haven't actually heard from within the squad yet what they have decided to do. We'll be speaking to Thomas Tuchel and Harry Kane later on this evening about 7:30 to find out how training's gone this morning at St George's Park. They're on the way over to Belgrade as we speak. See how that training session has gone, see if a conversation has been had. They would follow the protocol anyway. The FIFA protocol would be the first thing they would do in terms of reporting it, etc. But we'll find out a little bit more from the captain probably and from Thomas Tuchel himself later on. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it is just, because of unrest that we've seen with Serbia fans before. I was explaining earlier on breakfast at that match in Gelsenkirchen in 2024 during the Euros. I got hit on the back of the head by a bottle, and I was sitting pitch side in front of the Serbia fans. But things have improved, I'm told. And so hopefully this game will go ahead without any incident. They have been warned that they could have to play their match, their World Cup qualifier against Albania behind closed doors if anything happens tomorrow night, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say, Andy?
I was just going to say that, Faye, you followed England under Southgate very closely. You were involved in the camps. You've now followed Thomas Tuchel. Do you detect any differences or anything? Is it still a great atmosphere around England?
Yeah, still good atmosphere, without a doubt. I think the pressure is obviously on a little bit more now that we're in a World Cup year, and Thomas Tuchel's talked a lot about, wanting them to be competitive. He said he felt in competition mode himself, and you are starting to see that, and the players that I've spoken to in this camp are starting to feel it, and you do always get that feeling anyway, leading into, these August, September, October, November camps are always a bit more competitive going into a major tournament. Obviously, we didn't have it for 2022 because it was a Winter World Cup, but we certainly felt it going into Euro 2024. So it does start to ramp up a little bit. The camaraderie between the players is the same as it has been before, and Thomas Tuchel is building on what Gareth Southgate has already put in place in terms of the connections, as he calls them, between the players, and making sure that they're still in contact with each other when it's not an international break. So he's working hard for that because, we know you have to have a settled camp, really, if you want to go on and win a major tournament.
A draw would be a good result. It's on paper the toughest a game England can have away in Serbia in terms of the group, and a draw would not be a bad result, but
it's definitely a not lose. That's
yeah, I just wonder if that'll be enough to kind of quieten down the noise in light of the results so far, whether people are expecting a win.
Well, look, I mean, if they're expecting a swashbuckling win against Serbia, then they're probably going to get disappointed because they're not that type of side. It's going to be quite attritional, I think, very physical as well. Not necessarily the prettiest of games, but England have to find solutions. That's what they need to do. And I think if people start to see that they are creating and they're trying to do something a little bit different, which they did against Andorra, much better than they did out in Spain when they played them, but they just didn't get that final, ball into the back of the net, an own goal and then a great goal from Declan Rice was it. But they should have had more. And Thomas Tuchel said that himself. The players said that. They knew that. If we maybe see, the clinical edge that we know England are capable of, I think people will be a bit happier. 3 points in all would be a really good statement. It doesn't matter at this stage. We just want to qualify.
Absolutely. Faye, we'll hear from you tomorrow. Thanks very much.
See you later.
There's Faye Carruthers there, part of our top team, bringing you that game live tomorrow evening here on talkSPORT. Of course, myself and Charlie will be building up to that tomorrow. We'll end today reflecting on the Women's Super League got underway at the weekend. Some interesting stories emerging from it, some fine goals, some big wins. And Angelina Kelly's going to pop in and talk us through everything that went on in a few moments' time. We're here as always with our good friends at Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station. Oh, this is my karaoke song of choice. If I'm going to do Oasis song, I thought you'd like to know that. If you want the chance to win 25 grand in cash plus Oasis tickets to their very last show at Wembley on the 27th of September, of course you do. Well, we're giving you that chance with our biggest competition yet. 2 lucky winners will win a pair of tickets to see Oasis live at Wembley for the last time. But that's not all. Along with the tickets, one of you will walk away with a massive 25 grand in cash. For all the details and how to enter, listen up right now, because you could be one of the lucky winners.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
It was the first weekend of the Women's Super League season. Quite a few storylines emerged from all the games. Angelina Kelly's going to be joining us throughout the season. She joins us now. Hi, Angelina.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, same as it ever was, I suppose, in terms of like Chelsea looking pretty decent, Arsenal getting a win. But Arsenal getting a win eventually. I watched the London City Lionesses game and they caused them a few issues, didn't they, before they ran riot?
Yeah, so obviously Arsenal won that one 4-1 in the end against newly promoted London City Lionesses. But, you know, they got ahead in the 17th minute with a penalty which Aslani took, their captain. But, yeah, it was an interesting game. I think overall it was probably a bit humbling for London City Lionesses. They've got really big ambitions. They've got this billionaire owner, Michelle Kang, who is, I was saying this morning, she's almost like a super villain kind of vibe. She's impeccably dressed and she's got these big sunglasses on, but you know, she's invested a lot of money.
But that's the level, isn't it? It shows you what the level is if you're going to be successful.
This is it. For them to realistically be challenging for the Champions League or for winning the title, I think it's going to take a bit of time. They made 17 signings. Yeah. You've got to give them time to gel. And of course, one of those signings was, I know we've had a lot of £1 million deals going on. So in July 2025, Arsenal paid £1 million for Liverpool player Olivia Smith, who had an amazing game for Arsenal. Cannot think of a lot of players that have had such a good debut at the Etihad. Yeah. Ballon d'Or nominee, if not winner one day, I think. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. But then, so she was the first official £1 million player. But then on transfer deadline day, London City Lionesses broke that, paying £1.4 million for PSG player Grace Gayoro. So, like I say, London City Lionesses are very serious about what they want to do. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they progress, really.
Yeah.
I watched the Chelsea City game, the
Friday evening. Yeah,
I thought it was a really good quality game. Though.
It was a good game, but I thought, if I was being really honest, I thought City deserved a point. Actually, they had a lot of chances.
Well, I mean, obviously Chelsea won that one 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. I think with Manchester City, I think it's a big season for them because last season they didn't qualify for the Champions League. They had a lot of injuries. You know, Bunny Shaw, Viviana Miedema and Lauren Hemp, 3 of their forwards. If they can stay fit and fire on all cylinders, I think Manchester City will be quite dangerous. Obviously, they've got former Manchester United player Grace Clinton. She swapped with Jess Park, who made the move to Manchester United. But I think it'll be a big season for City. But Chelsea, I mean, I guess it's just business as usual. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Andy, on the new signing Ellie Carpenter at right back, because she was rapid, wasn't she?
She was great. Final ball wasn't great.
No.
Where's she come from?
She came from Lyon, so Sonia Bonpastor had worked with her before.
Right.
You can't complain because we were complaining about England not putting the ball in. She put the ball in a lot.
Yeah.
And
she got an assist, I think, didn't she? Yeah. But you think about Lucy Bronze, of course, she played at the Euros with a fractured tibia, which I spoke to Sonia Bonpastor a couple of weeks ago, and she admitted that she knew about the injury before she went to the Euros. How she's going to get back into that side, because when she's fit, she's going to be in competition with Ellie Carpenter. And as much as there's a lot of games and a lot of rotation, you would imagine, Bonpastor wants that quadruple after speaking to her. So she's going to want her best players. So a little bit worried for Lucy Bronze. I think she's a phenomenal player, but she cannot match the speed of Ellie Carpenter, I think.
And a Dream League debut for Ornella Vignola for Everton. They went to Anfield and won 4-1.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Yeah. So...
I don't mad, it wasn't was at Anfield, wasn't it? Or have I gone
It was at Anfield. Everton new signing Ornella Vingola, she scored a hat-trick. So the first men's or women's player from Everton to do so against Liverpool since Dixie Dean.
Blimey.
She
talk about big shoes to fill.
I watched him as a boy. You know?
I know you did. Yeah. One of our old colleagues here, Chessie, her grandmother went to Dixie Dean's 21st birthday party. That's not a bad story, is it? Anyway, crack on. Sorry.
Yes. But it was a great win for Everton. This is their 5th Merseyside derby win in 5 games at Anfield. They've invested really well. They've got a good manager. I think they'll push on. For Liverpool, in my personal opinion, I think this is embarrassing to lose 4-1 at Anfield during international break, which is a great time to try and get more people invested in the club, going to Women's Super League games. I think it was a little bit disappointing. Liverpool have got Gareth Taylor at the helm, who was Manchester City's manager. He got sacked in March. He was the Manchester City manager that wasn't playing Chloe Kelly a lot, so much so that she ended up moving to Arsenal. I think he's got a bit of egg on his face, considering she's one of the most spoken about, female footballers at the moment, was the superstar for England, obviously won the Champions League with Arsenal. I don't know if he was a little bit of a lazy appointment for Liverpool. They had Amber Whiteley, who was the interim manager. I think she did a good job. She beat Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final. She got 3 wins. Liverpool only got 7 overall last season. I would have liked to have seen her given a chance. But, it's going to be a bit of a battle for Gareth Taylor. And I think with the stuff that happened at City, that's going to follow him. And he's really got to, pull this back for Liverpool. But if they got, what was it, £800,000 from the Olivia Smith deal in profit. If you don't invest that correctly, then, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose at Anfield in the Merseyside derby.
Yeah. We got a minute, really, to hoover up. Big thumping win for Manchester United. Probably going to be another long, hard season for Leicester.
Yeah.
The other 2 games, Brighton and Villa, wasn't a thriller. And I didn't mean that to rhyme. And,
but it did.
And Spurs West Ham, you were at that one. And again, that was settled by a pretty late penalty by Beth England, wasn't it?
Yeah, Spurs' first game with the new manager, former Everton and Man United assistant Martin Ho. Their previous manager, Robert Villaham, got sacked in the summer because it wasn't great last season. Spurs were nearly in a relegation battle. Yeah. But, positive from Spurs. The players and the manager have spoken about how the confidence was pretty low. And it looks like he's really, trying to rebuild that. You could tell Rhiannon Skinner felt that they should have got more from the game. She's obviously the West Ham coach.
Right.
And you expect better from West Ham as the season goes on.
We should let you go and get some sleep. Aren't you on early breakfast tomorrow?
Yes, I was on early sports breakfast this morning. I've come back in this afternoon because I'm dedicated to coming on HK because I love coming and speaking to you guys about women's football. But I'll be back tomorrow. And obviously over on talkSPORT 2, today at 7 p.m, the Women's Football Show with Leanne Sanderson will be on. So make sure people are tuning into that as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Angelina. Angelina Kelly back with early breakfast. And what time do you start? 5?
Yeah, it's a 2:30 a.m. alarm.
Oh,
I'll be honest.
Wow. Well, get yourself off. We'll be building up to England, myself and Charlie tomorrow. I do hope you can join us from Andy back on Wednesday. But coming up next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bentwood Drive.